The historic Sunset Hotel, which is where we stayed at, once hosted Babe Ruth, Glenn Miller, Robert Kennedy, Marilyn Monroe, Al Capone. All stayed at the hotel we stayed at.
Crystal Bay, right?
Yeah. It was the Sunset Hotel. Obviously must have closed.
Have to admit, no bar or restaurant.
No, it's just a little boutique hotel.
Yeah. In which it takes 5 minutes for the water to get warm. Not hot, warm.
The places you stayed, inns and suites that you stayed in, that Crystal Bay was fine.
No. The accommodations were nice. I need warm water within 2 minutes. Got to remember, there's a lot of me. There's no way to avoid the spray and what have you. The cold is getting on me.
That's why I'm a teeth brusher first. And the first thing I do when I brush my teeth is turn the shower all the way hot.
See, it's funny. Even though growing up in apartments, we always had hot water. I have never, ever worried about, are we going to have hot water?
It's not a worry, David. This is not a worry. This is a make sure when I get in the shower, the water's warm. The big difference. I don't like that cold. I don't like getting in the shower and getting any of that cold splash.
I know.
I mean, I do it at home. Because I do that, the electric toothbrushes where it's 2 minutes. When it gets to that last buzz, it's like, all right, turn the hot water on. So right when I'm done, I can get right in the shower.
Well, congratulations, Steve. I hope you like it.
10 seconds.
What are you trying to say, Felipe?
And we're going live.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. It's Friday. It's the final day of the month. The Final Four is tomorrow. We got 2 Florida teams in it. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. By the way, it feels very confining today. I mean, we're not walking around outdoors. There's not a 40,000 seat stadium just 100 yards to our right. I mean, what is this in the studio thing? Is this how we normally do this show?
This is the way.
Huh. I kind of liked our studio yesterday.
I did too. I like the setup. I like being able to walk around a little bit. I like the cool breeze all morning, although I know the listeners probably a little happier that there's not the blowing through the microphones all day.
I was told there was a little bit of that. I know that the wind was kind of coming, if I turned my back in a certain way, I couldn't face you, but the wind could hit my back and it would protect the microphone. But we had a great time in St. Pete yesterday for the Rays home opener. Rays win, Marlins lose, death, taxes, and the Mets on opening day, baby. That's it. 3 guarantees in life.
It's remarkable.
It's ridiculous, especially since they're a franchise that's so unsuccessful otherwise.
They give away a 3-0 lead late, and I'm like, well, can they hold on to this one? And sure enough, they respond in the 8th with a couple and take it out 5-3, and the Mets with the win.
They were just trying to, help the Marlins maybe, sell a little more food and drink. That's all. Give up 3 in the 6th to tie it up. All right, we'll take
right
it
before last call.
Right, exactly. Oh man, I might be here for a while. Might have to grab 2. Nope. Hey, quick question. Wait, 15. All 30 teams played yesterday, so we have 15 host fan bases. Of the 15 fan bases, how many of them sold out opening day?
I'll go with 13.
Lower.
11.
Lower.
8.
Lower.
What?
Yep. Now, I will say the Yankees were within 2,000. The Red Sox were within 2,000. But I think March 30th affected the gate yesterday. I think it was a week too early, at least 4 or 5 days too early. I do. Keep going, by the way. You're at 8.
5?
Bingo.
Wow.
Bingo. Sellouts in Kansas City, Cincinnati, Houston, San Diego, and St. Louis.
Wow.
Which, by the way, shows how great the fan bases are in Kansas City and Cincinnati.
It really does.
I mean, Houston, they're the defending World Series champions. The Padres, damn near the whole season's already sold out. And, of course, we know about the Cardinals and their fan base.
David, I want to let you know that out of 15 Major League Baseball games yesterday, I watched parts of 9.
Whoa! Look at you.
I busted my butt after the show yesterday, got home, had to do some things for my mom when I got home. So I missed first pitch, which I was a little disappointed in by an eyelash. But obviously got a little bit of Braves, Nats, Giants, Yankees, the Baltimore-Boston game, watched all of the Rays game, watched the majority of the Marlins game.
Well, listen, if you watched the whole Rays game, you didn't watch it for very long.
No, you didn't.
That sucker moved. You ever been in the airport or, I guess they could be in other places in which every now and then you get a conveyor belt that's just a little faster than normal. And you're like, oh, I may even have to hold on to the side rail here while we're moving. We're not wasting any time. All right. That was the Rays Tigers yesterday. 214, baby. 214.
James Shields was in the booth for an inning. They didn't introduce him until there was 2 outs because it went so fast. They had to keep him for another half. It was remarkable, just the pace of the game. I mean, the announcers are going to have to get used to this pace.
No doubt. No doubt. And, man, the clock was not an issue in that game. They were moving. They were moving. By the way, 6,000 empty seats at the Trop. 6,000 empty seats at Lone Depot. And that's with the Mets, who bought up at least half of the 31 and change.
Oh, I'd say based on crowd noise, I thought it was a little more than that. I thought that was a 60-40 Mets crowd, if you will.
Which means there were about 13,000 Marlins fans at that game. For Sandy Alcantara, that's not a good sign, this just in. I don't want to say it's a party for the Mets, but Steve Cohen, their owner, all right, he rented out the casino and hosted 2,000 Mets fans the night before the game. Not that this was a party or anything. That's a bad sign. Shouldn't the Marlins be renting out Hard Rock?
Well,
okay.
The problem is they'd have to find 2,000 fans that would want to attend a Marlins event.
I know.
I'll be one of them.
So Cohen rents out the Hard Rock for Mets fans, 2,000 of them the night before the game. First off, it shows just how cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs they are about, the owner spending money. This is their George Steinbrenner. I mean, they're hoping World Series will follow. But anyway, I was very excited. I watched probably bits and pieces of, now I will say I followed a bunch of games, but I'd say I watched bits and pieces of 4 games.
Because I have DirecTV, and I think whatever cable system, they give you the first week for free. So you get to watch all the games, and it's delightful.
Arch makes a very good point. It's pre-Easter. Many Mets fans are still in Florida, and there are more New Yorkers on the East Coast, so that's a good point. Well done.
Also, it was a 4:00 start.
Yep.
On a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Dropping in that time in
it's
Miami
opening
is
day.
impossible.
Don't quit making excuses for what a pathetic sports town Miami is. Stop it.
I
Felipe,
think
Stop
tonight.
it, Felipe.
I think
What?
tonight.
Are you excited about the Canes game
I think
tomorrow night that they couldn't make it to the Marlins game on Thursday?
I don't know. I think tonight might have a little more juice. Friday night at 7
Not
o'clock.
a chance.
not a
Maybe.
chance.
Not a chance.
In fact,
It'll
Felipe,
be half. If they do half of what they did for opening day, that would be a great crowd.
15-7 will be half. 15-7 would be half. I think there may be enough Mets fans to get slightly over half, but Felipe, I'll take over under 20,000 right now. I'm going under.
I'm going under.
I might even go under 18. And that's with 60% of the park being Mets fans.
But I think 18,000 would be good for the Marlins.
But no, it's not, because 12,000 of them are Mets fans.
And, you know,
Quit
Felipe,
acting like this is a Marlins crowd. They don't draw. Do you want me to recite the attendance for the last 3 years? They don't average 10,000 fans a game.
You don't have to, no.
actually, Felipe, I could argue, I thought 4 o'clock was the perfect start time. Because you convince somebody, you could put in a good solid half day of work, almost 2/3 of a day of work. You can head to the ballpark for 2:30, 3 o'clock. Get there, eat, drink, take in the game. You're still in your head as a fan planning on the game being 3 hours. All right. And so the game's you're not gonna get out of there till close to 7 is what you've got in your head. And by then, that's most of the rush hour traffic you're missing. I actually thought 4 o'clock was the perfect start time for opening day in Miami. But
little more disappointed that the Trop didn't sell out.
I know.
Because there's no expectations of the Marlins. They're not going to be a good baseball team this year, and the fans already know that. Now, I can't believe their Cy Young Award winners on the mound and not a few more people came out to see him pitch, because that's always been a draw when Miami has a pitcher to go see.
Right. Jose Fernandez, Dontrelle Willis. Right. Mm-hmm.
But so that was a little stunning to me, but there's no doubt that this Rays team is good.
Mm-hmm. 12 winning seasons in the last 15 years, including 5 in a row. I mean, if you're a fan, how could you not be buying in?
Showed a graphic during the game yesterday. In the last 4 years, only the Dodgers, Astros, and Yankees have won more games than the Rays. That's pretty good.
They've done it for pennies on the dollar. But barely 25,000 at the Trop. They seat 31. I mean, that place holds 40 and change, but they closed basically the upper deck. So they only sit about 31,000 is the sellout at the Trop. And they barely did 25,000 for opening day for a 3 o'clock start too. So
and another thing, just like you talk about that, traffic's a mess coming from Tampa back to St. Pete. But if you're playing the game at 3 o'clock, in theory, that one, though, it ended right at rush hour.
Oh, I know. It ended at 5:20.
In theory, that's what I said. You'd have to go to Ferg's for about an hour, let traffic die down.
Totally. It's like, well, I wasn't planning on eating in St. Pete, but honey, we got to eat. We can't get on the road till 7.
But going back the other way, there's really not the whole traffic's coming to St. Pete from Tampa. But neither here nor there. Rays with a good win. Marlins with the loss. We're off 162 of these, 1 down.
By the way, 15 games yesterday. You know how many violations we had? That's what they're calling it, Mark. Violations.
I don't know the total number, and I forgot to look. I knew when I went to bed there was one that I was aware of.
Well, how about we guess? All right, 15 games.
3.
Over under 15.
Oh, under. Way under.
I was going to say 20.
Under barely. 14 violations yesterday. So we averaged 1 per game. Here's what I don't understand. 8 were on the pitcher, 4 were on the hitter. There was 1 on a base runner and 1 on a catcher.
I saw the base runner one, and I know what happened. He was too lazy. It was a
Pete Alonso.
Yeah, it was right. He was
It was
too
in the Marlins
lazy
game.
too lazy getting back to first base.
Yeah. And they called the strike on the hitter
Right.
when it was a base runner that caused the violation.
Ball was back in the pitcher's hands. They started the clock, and he's just walking back from second to first.
Oh, a foul ball. And so the hitter waited till Alonso got back to first. Huh. So what was the one on the catcher?
Didn't see that.
Yeah.
Well, I've got nothing for you. Sorry.
And yes, as KW points out in our Twitch chat room, first pitch clock violation, Marcus Stroman of the Cubs. You are the answer to the trivia question, sir. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan, Rick Barry, the famous Kane hoopster, to join us on this Friday.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. golfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfcarts.com. FLGolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
How in the world did you get Rick Barry?
He doesn't have his headset on. We've had him on before.
Really?
Probably. David, how many times have we had Rick Barry on?
Ooh,
Several.
I sit between 6 and 10.
Was it to talk Warriors or Canes?
No, talk basketball.
Basketball.
Damn.
If you go back 20 years, which obviously you wouldn't know this, but in the very early 2000s, there was a minor league basketball team in Southwest Florida. Rick Barry was the head coach for 2 years.
No way.
Of the Florida Sea Dragons.
No.
And while he was the head coach, the Miami job opened up, and he actually interviewed for it.
Wow. Huh. And does he live in Southwest Florida?
Mm-mm.
Doesn't he live in like Colorado? I know for the longest time he lived.
That I don't know, but his birthday was a couple days ago for the record. He just turned 79.
He was in Naples Monday for an event.
Yeah, his birthday was the 28th. I was just looking up. I was reading some stuff on him this morning since we had him on, just kind of refresh my brain. And he just turned 79.
Rick Barry was pretty damn good.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Hell of a scorer. Hell of a defender.
I think he averaged his senior year in college. I thought he averaged like 35. Remember, no 3-point line.
I know.
Okay, so there. KW's got it. Alejandro Kirk was the catcher of the Blue Jays. Got it because he forgot his pitch comm device.
What?
Ah, took too long then.
Too long to get out of the dugout. That's where the catcher violation is.
Ah,
By the way, other trivia question. Rafael Devers is the first player in MLB history to be struck out by the pitch clock. Yeah, like a 2-2 count. Took too long, strikeout. First player in Major League history.
there was a pitch clock violation that played a role in the Guardians Mariners game, scoreless in the 8th, and the Guardians pitcher got a violation, and it added a ball to the count, and that guy ended up either walking or getting on and was instrumental in the inning.
It didn't sound. Someone said half the trop was Detroit fans. It didn't sound like it.
Then again, they didn't give him a ton to cheer for.
It's very true.
How about 5 for 5 and a walk for Adley Rutschman?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did that, and there was another one with 5 hits and 4 runs in the
Springer.
That's it.
Springer for Toronto.
Toronto also scored 10 runs.
I don't know, Johnny Mac. I didn't stay up that late.
I heard Shohei.
I don't know, but they had Bregman mic'd up, and he's talking to the announcers, right? What happens? But there's runners on first and second, by the way, 2 outs, and a little dribbler comes to third. He's got to make the play while he's mic'd up. It was awesome. My wife's like, "Is that live?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I mean, you could hear with the mic, you hear the ball pop in the glove, and he's got to make a pretty tough throw. And he was on the run, so by the time he's completed the throw, he's basically about the pitcher's mound. And they're like, "Thanks." He's all right, guys. As he's coming out of the dugout.
Yeah, it's probably 2 of the 3 best teams, Paul, in the A-Sun, them and Liberty.
20 seconds. Story as old as time. Shohei, 6 innings, 10 strikeouts.
No decision in a 2-1 loss.
2 hits, no runs, 3 walks. Reliever comes in.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Pat Kirwan next hour. Rick Barry, the basketball legend. How many of you know he was a 3-time All-American for the Miami Hurricanes? One of the first snowbirds, Mark. He's one of the first. He was one of the first from Jersey to say, "I'm going to Florida." 60 years ago. Had some good basketball in and around. He grew up in northern Jersey. He didn't have to go very far to play some of the elite basketball in the country. He said, "I'm going to Florida."
That is really remarkable at the time that he did it.
Yes. Yeah, for him to get out of the New York metropolitan area, not even go to a Philly school. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about it. You had both Ohio State and Cincinnati, who were powerhouses in the early 60s. They didn't even keep the Jersey kid, within, 500-700 miles of home. No, he went to Miami. Started a trend. Jackie Gleason followed, and there you go.
So it was Rick Barry, apparently. Okay, good to know.
We'll credit him for that.
The original snowbird.
A basketball legend, and began the whole I-95 corridor thing. So the basketball legend will join us coming up in our 8 o'clock hour. So FAU is going to take a crack at this. They're going to give it a shot. They sat Dusty May down and they said, "Okay, we know probably not this year because, there aren't that many really good jobs for you to leave for. But we know next year you could get up, you could leave us for a Power 5 school. Probably make $4 or $5 million a year. We're not going to pay you $4 or $5 million a year. But here's what we can do. How about like $1.5 to $2 million? And how about we come up with about $10 million for facilities and NIL? Your assistants will all get raises, the whole deal." I think, Mark, they uttered the words. Don't know if they said it. I don't have proof. But I think FAU behind closed doors looked at Dusty May and dared to say, how about we become the Gonzaga of the South? And apparently Dusty's going to, okay, let's give this a try. Let's not have this be a one-off. Let's do this. So that's apparently what's coming out of the Final Four. Whether FAU wins 0, 1, or 2 games this weekend. He's staying. They have called all their boosters, and they're all in.
Hey, it's not like there's not a lot of money around that campus, David.
I was going to say, in theory, it'd take an hour, right?
I mean, you could throw a fishing net from that campus and get all the bait you needed, if you know what I mean.
It's the old Bob Ryan line about USC when they need a tailback. Pete Carroll would open up his window in his office and go, I need a tailback, and 4 would come running.
Yeah, whoever got there first got the scholarship. Exactly.
In theory, that's what they should be able to do there. But so I'm kind of excited.
I was reading they raised $7.5 million. They got a gift of $7.5 million. Have raised $11 million prior to this Final Four run.
Mm-hmm.
They expect more than $15 million to be available.
Well, here we go. Okay, now we're talking. All right. So if you're Dusty May, how much of that are you grabbing for yourself? I mean, can you ask? Oh, well, you can ask for anything. But I mean, realistically, I mean, capacity's 2,900 in the gym. I mean, they can only make so much money per game.
Well, it's not going to be 2,900 for long, I would imagine.
Well, I understand, but it's going to take a little while, even in
know.
Florida, to build something bigger or expand the current place. So, you know, for the next couple of years, you got to figure they're playing to about 3,000 a night. It'll be cozy.
Not to be a jerk. Here's the key. Make sure every night that you play, you're playing to 3,000. That's part one. Sell out every damn game.
Well, I think next year they will.
Make sure there's a legitimate demand for the ticket, because then you can start charging whatever the college version of PSLs is.
Well, that's true. That's true. FGCU did that coming off their Sweet 16. They came up with like a front row thing across from the benches in which, people paid seat licensing to sit there and what have you. They sold out that first year after the Sweet 16. And their capacity was around 4,500 with standing room.
So to me, it's simple and it's very easy. That's the first part of this. Just make sure that every game you play is sold out. He talked about the players went out and kind of did their own NIL deals. They didn't do what goes on at big boy schools where you walk in and say, here's your NIL deal. Right. The FAU kids were out hustling, trying to find a little bit of money here. That will become easier for them.
I was going to say, all you have to do is look at your DMs, right? I would think for the next year. I'm not saying you're going to be Caitlin Clark or anything like that, but.
No, but it hopefully keeps that team intact.
Right. And then they have another good year next year. Like, it would be great just like right now. Will FAU get back in the tournament next year? Remember, they're moving up to the American. Even if the whole team comes back, they're moving up to the American. Obviously, they're not sneaking up on anybody. They'll get everybody's best game, blah, blah, blah. I think this is where you need to follow it up. This is the genius of Gonzaga. Gonzaga had their breakthrough in 99. They went to the Elite Eight. They've made the tournament every year since. Kentucky can't say that. Michigan State can't say that. North Carolina can't say that. Duke can't say that. I mean, that's what you got to do, especially when you're the little engine that could. You got to get back in the dance every year. And then it's like, I'll be damned. This isn't a fluke. Wow. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. It's remarkable, actually, what Gonzaga's done. I mean, a quarter century making the tournament every year. Out of Spokane, Washington? I don't care how weak the West Coast Conference is.
No, while they did that, though, the West Coast Conference became a lot better. They actually, I mean, they took the brand and made it a 2-bid league all of a sudden by what they accomplished. But FAU's in a big boy conference now where it is a multi-bid league. So you don't necessarily have to win the conference to get to the tournament.
Remember when UConn won their last national championship, they were in the American. I mean, so you can win the national championship in basketball playing out of the American. And UCF would argue you could win it playing football out of the American. Ba-dum-bum! It's a little end of the month humor there.
Humor indeed.
It was good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fun sense of humor that little school had.
I'm just wondering now they go to the Big 12. They still going to keep that national championship banner up there, or was that just kind of?
Oh, it's
Yeah?
staying.
Do they
All right.
actually have a banner in the stadium?
I thought they did.
That's
I
pathetic.
thought they did when I did the AAF game there in 2019. Although maybe they didn't have it up yet, but I thought they did.
So glad that they're celebrating a fantasy.
Well, they got that one obscure poll. I mean, Alabama claims a couple national championships from poll services that people have never heard of.
Of course, they were in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, but that's
Right.
a little different.
Right. Well, UCF's making the argument we were in the teens just a century later.
Was an '07. Miller and Moulton, the starting 5 is coming up next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. The amount of tweets I'm now getting from people that I don't follow is simply staggering.
Since when?
The last month. Just people tweet stuff out. It shows up on my timeline. I don't follow them. It's always random people who are, hey, name your favorite Brad Pitt movie. Hey, I don't care.
I think Twitter has a For You page now. So it's just a recommended thing.
Well, John, I don't know the answer, but I do know he drove over both times when the light was out.
It was fine. I will say on the way home yesterday, because I don't like bridges at all, and I had myself a little more paranoid than I should have been. Way there was fine. On the way back, I'm driving in the passing lane, if you will, and there is a truck about a half a mile ahead of me, a quarter of a mile ahead of me as I'm approaching the bridge. And the truck doesn't have the oomph. So by the time we're at the top of the bridge, he's going 31 miles an hour, and I can't get over. And I am going so slowly that I am in just hell. For the final click, 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 click. It was like going up the damn roller coaster.
Right.
You're just hanging over the top. Started going. By the way, I'm scared to death of heights and will ride in the front car of a roller coaster all the time. Scares the hell out of me, but I love it.
I kind of want to, I'm curious because we've talked about recently, we've made comparisons with the pitch clock as such a crucial implementation to the game. It's almost as crucial as
implementation.
Crucial implementation into the game that it's comparable to the 3-point line being added to the NBA. And I'm curious to see because Rick Barry played in the ABA, where obviously there was a 3-point line, but I'm curious to see what he remembers from how people adjusted to that. I feel like any player who played in that era has a lot of good insight on that. Because it ended up being one of the best things that's ever happened in the game. And my thoughts are, could the pitch clock be one of the best things that's ever happened to baseball?
You ever notice no matter what the conversation is during the commercial breaks, if Philly decides he wants to change the direction of the conversation, he completely interrupts and just talks about whatever the hell it is he wants to talk about?
Guys, I've been thinking.
Yep. I think out loud a lot.
Yep.
And
I don't think he has somebody to talk to in the morning. Okay.
I don't. I'm just here in this room by myself.
It's not true.
Plus, we weren't around yesterday. You weren't there for him yesterday, Mark.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I have a Twitch account. I went live for 40 minutes, and I called it the Keep Philly Awake Cam. And 4 people joined, and I was like, screw this. And I got off. Yeah, I wasn't even close to falling asleep once yesterday. I was by myself.
It was by far the best job you've ever done since yesterday was the best day you've ever been a producer on the show, and it's not close.
Thank you.
Well,
in fact, the 2 best days were the 2 remotes.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
It's not even close.
You concentrated. You
did your job nearly flawlessly, Felipe.
Could you say that big time players make big time plays?
No, see, Felipe, we expect that every day. If you want to keep going that way, it's going to turn ugly really quickly.
No, I'm sorry. Okay.
I've never in 20 years of doing this had a producer fall asleep multiple times while doing the goddamn show. Okay.
Actually,
so just take the compliment and say thank you instead of wanting to pat yourself on the back.
I'm sorry. It was a joke.
Man, you can ruin a compliment.
I'm sorry. I was joking.
Trying to pass himself off as Randy Rosarena over there. I mean, come on.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan in an hour, Rick Barry in 2 hours. Canes legend. How many of you knew that? 3-time All-American at Miami. Rick Barry to join us with the Canes and the Owls in the Final Four, which resumes tomorrow night. The women's Final Four is in action tonight. We'll get to that coming up in
The Starting 5. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number one.
The Rays called it a sellout, even though it was 6,000 less than capacity. So maybe capacity's down to 25,000 now. But all I know is the game took 2 hours and 14 minutes. It was glorious. Shane McClanahan was terrific. 6 shutout innings. Siri and Franco homered. Rays 4, Tigers nothing. Marlins lost on opening day. It's because they played the Mets. And the Mets don't lose on opening day. Death taxes and the Mets on opening day. Sandy Alcantara, 5 2/3 innings, 3 earned runs, only gave up 3 hits, but he walked 4. He got a no decision. Mets with 2 in the 7th to win it 5-3. The game took 2:42. 6,000 empty seats at Lone Depot Park. A little over 31,000 on hand for the Marlins home opener. Judge homered in his first at-bat. That's how you answer a 62 home run season right there.
You know, apparently Maris homered in his first at-bat after the 61 homer season, too.
Nice.
Yeah. Things I learned during the Yankees broadcast yesterday.
5-0 Yankees over the Giants. Braves beat the Nats 7-2. However, they may have lost Max Fried, their pitcher. It looks like he pulled a hamstring covering first in the 4th inning. Travis d'Arnaud with 4 hits in the win. Orioles held off the Red Sox, who scored 5 runs in the last 2 innings, 10-9. You know, that Adley Rauschman guy is really good. He had 5 hits. Drove in like 4.
Right.
George Springer's really good, too. He had 5 hits for the Jays in their 10-9 win over the Cardinals.
And I think scored 4 runs in the game.
How about that? 2 10-9 games yesterday.
And by the way, either of them, I think one was 317 and one was 310.
We had quite a few shutouts yesterday. Already mentioned the Rays shutting out the Tigers and the Yankees shutting out the Giants. Cubs 4-0 over the Brewers. Dansby Swanson had 3 hits in his Cubs debut. Marcus Stroman, 6 shutout innings. He also was the first pitch clock violator in Major League Baseball history. Twins held the Royals to just 2 hits in the 2-0 win. Seattle scored 3 in the 8th to beat the Guardians 3-0. Ty France with the 3-run homer. A pitch clock violation played a key role in the Mariners' 8th inning rally. Well, this season started off for Ohtani, just like the last 2 have gone. He had a hit. He threw 6 shutout innings, gave up just 2 hits, struck out 10, left with a 1-0 lead, and the Angels lost to Oakland 2-1. By the way, the A's outdrew the Rays yesterday by 1,000. That would bother me if I were the Rays. I'm just saying. Jacob deGrom got bombed. Gave up 5 earned in less than 4 innings. But fortunately, his new Texas Rangers team scored 9 runs in the 4th. Texas 11-7 over the Phillies. Pirates beat the Reds 5-4. The game took 3 hours and 2 minutes because there were 15 walks and 26 strikeouts. And still only took 3 hours and 2 minutes, which is less time than an average game took last year. White Sox 3-2 over the Astros. They scored 2 in the 9th to win it. Houston held to just 4 hits. Padres lost to Colorado at home 7-2. C.J. Cron with 2 homers. How about that for an opening day? Dodgers 8-2 over the Diamondbacks. Jose Urias got the opening day start, not Kershaw. Kershaw came out this week and said he should get it. He's been better. So usually, though, they give it to the ceremonial veteran. Nope. Moving on in Los Angeles. By the way, 5 games today. So they go from 15 to 5. Way to build on the momentum. The Mets and Marlins are one of the 5. 14 pitch clock violations yesterday in the 15 Major League games. 8 by the pitcher, 4 by the batter, 1 by a base runner, 1 by a catcher. NBA. Julius Randle's out for the rest of the regular season and may miss the beginning of the playoffs with the Knicks because of that sprained ankle. He had played in all 77 games before stepping on Bam Adebayo's foot in the Knicks win over the Heat the other night. Just 2 games in the NBA last night, both road teams winners over the 2-1 seeds. Milwaukee didn't just lose at home to Boston. They got beat by 41.
41?
140-99.
28 at the half, 40 after 3 quarters. Unbelievable.
Bucks waved the white flag mid-third quarter. Meanwhile, New Orleans went into Denver. Jokic didn't play, and the Nuggets lost by 19 to the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram with 31 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. New Orleans is tied with Minnesota for 7th. That would be the first play-in game, Minnesota-New Orleans right now out west. The Nuggets have a 3-game lead with 6 to play for the 1 seed in the West. Milwaukee, by the way, with a 2-game lead with 5 to play for the 1 seed in the East, but Boston owns the tiebreaker. So there. NHL. Lightning with 3 in the third. Maroon with 2 goals in their 5-1 win over Washington. Stamkos added a goal and assist, his 32nd goal of the season. Panthers get it done once again. Matthew Tkachuk with a hat trick and a helper. 5-2 over Montreal. They remain a point behind the Penguins for the final playoff spot in the East. Penguins a 2-0 winner over Nashville. Tristan Jarry with 28 saves. Pittsburgh has a game in hand on the Panthers trying to win the final wild card. And probably the biggest NHL game last night, Devils edged the Rangers 2-1. They dominated the first period, led 2-0 after it, held on after that. Probably relegates the Rangers to 3rd place in the division. Jersey just a point behind Carolina for the division lead because Carolina lost to Detroit 3-2. Boston beat Columbus 2-1 in overtime. Mark, they've clinched everything. Everything you could clinch. They don't have to gain a point the rest of the season. 1 seed, best record, both sides, doesn't matter. They got home ice. Edmonton 2-0 over the Kings. Stuart Skinner with 43 saves for Edmonton. Connor McDavid with his 300th career goal and his 61st of the season in the 2-0 win. Gators Pro Day was yesterday. That meant Anthony Richardson putting on a show. Those that were there, including the Panthers, Seahawks, and Jaguars head coaches, said he looked really good. He completed damn near 90% of his passes, which is good because he's throwing against air. Also, Vegas and Carolina had individual meetings with AR after the workout. By the way, he's measured 6'4", 244. He threw the ball 75 yards in the air yesterday.
With like a 42-inch vertical as well.
Yeah. So, just saying. I mean,
the measurables are unbelievable. I don't know how effective a vertical jump is for a quarterback.
You can hurdle a few people.
The only other NFL note, new turf at MetLife Stadium for the Giants and the Jets. It's been one of the most criticized fields in the league. Basketball, congratulations, North Texas. They won the NIT. They beat UAB 68-61. There was a blown call late in that game, but since it didn't come in the final 2 minutes, replay couldn't fix it. Whatever. Both those teams, by the way, leaving Conference USA and going to the American. North Texas and UAB. Dusty May's getting an extension. He's getting a big raise. There's a whole bunch of money coming into the program. FAU said, we are doing this. Yeah. FAU caught a break. They caught 2 breaks. First off, going on this run, usually when do guys get jobs? They have to lose. They have to lose at some point. When you keep winning, other schools move on. That's number one. But number two, this was not a great year for like Power 5 jobs. You know, Georgia Tech moved quickly. Penn State stayed regionally. You know, you got Texas Tech, which is also going to stay regionally. They're going to hire the North Texas guy. Texas promoted from within.
And even Notre Dame, with the coach retiring, got it done reasonably quickly.
And the Penn State coach was linked to that job from the beginning. And see that, so FAU caught a break here. You know, like people have brought up FGCU with Andy Enfield. Well, Minnesota and USC opened up that year. I mean, FGCU would have had to compete with that. You know, FAU,
and financially, they were never in the same league as FAU.
No.
They didn't have the money. They'd
No.
still.
Like Dusty May's making $500,000 this year. Andy Enfield 10 years ago was making $158,000. If you watch anything tonight, the women's Final Four, 7 o'clock game, that's not going to be pretty. LSU plays ugly basketball. They did this. Oh man, they can muck up the Macy's Day Parade. They really could. All right, LSU, Virginia Tech, whatever. The nightcap. They say 9 o'clock. It's going to be 9:30. South Carolina, undefeated, trying to become the 10th undefeated national champion in women's basketball history. They're also the defending national champs. They're taking on Caitlin Clark in Iowa. This is marquee matchup, baby. Tickets for this game are more expensive than tickets to the Final Four on the secondary market. That's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. By the way, you can get Caitlin Clark in 11.5 tonight.
I think you may need all 11.5, David.
I understand, but I'm saying, don't you have to take it?
South Carolina undefeated, defending national champs.
Yes, they are. Yep.
That Boston young lady is
Aaliyah Boston. Yeah, yeah.
The player that Caitlin Clark is. Not the score.
No.
Not trying to say that.
No. Mm-hmm. Right. I know. And
I'll lay the 11.5. I'll take you on right now. And I'm rooting for Iowa because this Caitlin Clark story is a lot of fun and she is a riot to watch play. I'll save the juice. Bet me.
Okay. I like it. I like this. So you're saying you think South Carolina is going to be a little annoyed that they're the defending national champs are undefeated and all they've heard about for 3 days is Caitlin Clark and Iowa?
Yes. Particularly their head coach. He's really good at what she does.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. In fact, she's a former Temple alum. And when the Temple men's job came open, there were quite a few people that said, aren't we like not calling an obvious candidate? This was like when Pat Summitt was alive and the Tennessee job opened up a couple times. It was like, are you sure we're just maybe need to go down to the office, make a right? PGA Tour, they're in San Antonio for the Valero Texas Open. Justin Lower with a one-shot lead at 5 under. Kuchar and Hall of Famer Padraig Harrington is one shot back. And LPGA, they're in LA for the LA Open. Mi-Hung Lee with a one-shot lead over American Megan Kang. The Corda sisters, both of them, 3 shots back at 3 under. Augusta National Women's Amateur. That takes place the weekend before the Masters. The best amateur player in the world, Rose Zhang. Yeah, she has shot 66-65 the first 2 rounds. They take today off. They just have a nice relaxing practice day at the club, have a nice meal, and then tomorrow's the final round. But she's got a 5-shot lead. Little 66-65 action.
Rolling the rock if you're doing that there.
Mm-hmm. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you go. I think we got you up to date on everything. If not, you'll let me know what I missed. You guys are all good at that. It's like being married. Honestly, you think you got everything on the list. You come back, you find out, no. You missed this, you missed this. What are you talking about? You didn't put that on the list. Well, I told you about it. You should have known. Oh, okay.
My wife's learned if it's not on the list, it's not getting done.
No chance.
I need something in writing. Send an extra text. Do what you got to do because I'm going to forget.
Yes. And by the way, make sure you send the text before I'm in the parking lot. I'm not turning back around and going back in. I got that carriage, got a lot of weight in it. I got it moving in one direction. I am not unloading it and going back.
The only problem is sometimes that text comes before you left and you don't realize it till you're in the parking lot, and then you have to lie because you're not going back in.
No.
Oh, I didn't even see your text. Did you text me? Oh, my goodness, it just came through. Sorry about that. Miller and Moulton. Text line here is open. We won't do the same thing. It's 21,000. We'll get to them right away on this show. Thanks for listening, Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Spitz, you must have just joined us because we talked about it. The number is 11.5. Over-under is 150. So basically, Vegas is saying 81-69 South Carolina. Give or take a half point. Oh, the ratings number. Late Friday night, cable. $4 million.
You know what I hate? God, I hate not remembering passwords to everything that I have.
I hate having to have so many passwords.
I know. There's an article on The Athletic that I would like to read, but I found it via Twitter, I think. Stop it.
Wow, I went a whole day without checking my banking. Man, a whole bunch of money came out. I had money when on my way to St. Pete. I'll be damned.
There it is. All right. I've got some numbers on opening day if you want.
Yeah, totally.
I don't, ambient heat. I think South Carolina is going to win, and I think they're going to win comfortably. I hope I'm wrong. I'd like to see it. I'm planning on watching it. Actually, I don't, because they didn't do it on the whole day. Unbelievable. Okay, yeah, it's
5 seconds.
all right.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday. It's the final day of March. Women's Final Four underway tonight. Men's Final Four underway tomorrow night. Day 2 of the baseball season. Less than 4 weeks away from the draft. 6 days away from the Masters. Huh? That's how we roll. 2 weeks away from the NBA and NHL playoffs. Okay? All right? That's what we got on the docket this time of year. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com.
So I've got some numbers for you, David.
Okay. What
Well,
about?
opening day numbers.
All right.
15 games on opening day averaged 2 hours and 45 minutes yesterday.
Huh.
That's 26 minutes shorter than last year's average for opening day.
So the average opening day last year was 3:11.
Correct.
Huh. Well, the 26 minutes is the exact same amount of time that spring training games were shortened by this year. So that's interesting.
There was only 7 games last year on opening day, because this was a little bit different how they did this year. But of only 2 of the first 7 games completed this year were longer than the shortest game on opening day last year. The shortest game last year on opening day was 2 hours, 49 minutes.
And you're saying only 2 of the games that were played yesterday were longer.
Of the first 7, a couple of later ones,
Oh,
the West Coast
gotcha.
games went longer. I think at the end of the day, it was a couple. I think a few went longer because you had the Reds-Pirates game with 3 hours and 2 minutes. The Orioles game was 3:10. And I believe that Toronto game ended up being 3:17 or something like that.
Yeah, a couple of 10-9 games there, yeah.
Right. But I mean, even the other late games that, the Mariners Guardians 2:14, Athletics Angels 2:30, Dodgers Diamondbacks an 8-2 game with 2:35, which had 5 different Arizona pitchers and multiple mid-inning pitching changes. As you mentioned, 14 clock violations. Marcus
Less than one
Stroman was
game.
the first one, and Rafael Devers was the first hitter called out for a pitch clock violation.
By the way, unrelated, but Did you see how a college baseball game was decided earlier this week on a catcher's balk? Did you
Right.
see it?
I
All right.
did.
So it's 4-4 in the ninth. There's a pitch in the dirt. The catcher blocks it. The ball's right in front of him. Like, it's not scurrying away. It's within a 2-foot circumference.
And dead.
Yes. I mean, he could literally reach out with his hand and grab the ball. Well, he had his mask in his hand. So when he reached out, he touched the ball with his mask. Then he took the mask, he stopped, took the mask back, put it in his glove, reached back, grabbed it with the hand. Home plate umpire was fine with it. First base umpire said, yeah, the rule is you can't use your equipment to
scoop the ball up.
And there was a winning run on third. And so he said, don't know what to tell you. That guy's got to score. Ball was right there. It was just, little brain, by the catcher. And he just, a little lazy, tired, 3.5-hour game, just reached over. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad we didn't have that yesterday in Major League Baseball. I'm fine. One violation a game, by the way. I mean, that's better than I thought. That's what you thought. That's better than I thought.
And I think that the number will go down as the season progresses.
We'll see. These veteran pitchers and hitters, they did it for a day. They're concentrating the whole deal. Nobody's in a slump yet. No one's in a bad mood yet. None of the pitchers or batters yelled at the umpire for getting called. There was one that was like a split-second violation in a game. I mean, like it just hit 0, and they didn't do what the referees do in the NFL. They give them that extra half a second. Okay. Oh, it's 0. Now I look back at the quarterback. Is the snap happening yet?
Well, and that's what I found out. The umpires have the home plate umpire has a wrist monitor that's tied into the clock that buzzes. So they're not to keep the umpires from looking at the clock. They simply have something on their wrist that buzzes. Well, if it buzzes and the pitch not been thrown yet, it's a violation.
But if you think about it, the buzz is what? About a half a second. All right. At the end of that half a second, if the pitcher is starting his windup, which apparently happened in one of the games, it was like a split-second deal. Like it hit 0 and then the motion started. And the home plate umpire was like, nope, didn't start it in time. Okay. Everybody's in a good mood on opening day. It's exciting. Everybody's happy. Wait till
I thought it was interesting. The Marlins announcer was Alonso, the one that didn't get back to first. The Marlins announcer said, they had symposiums, Zoom calls with all the announcers, and they complimented Major League Baseball up and down of saying they went through all of these different scenarios, and you had all these radio and TV people and producers asking 92 different scenarios and all of these questions, and they answered all of them. And they said, I don't think we went through that one.
I mean, did we ever go through that one on our show?
No.
I don't believe so.
Here is something, though. Like a few of the folks who got called for violations yesterday played in the World Baseball Classic. Alonso was on Team USA. He was gone for half of spring training. They didn't play by the pitch clock, clock in the World Baseball Classic. They played by the old rules.
Right. They went old school on us.
Yep. So, Pete's been used to a certain, comfort level, slower tempo. For as much as we love the World Baseball Classic, those games were 3:20 and 3:30.
Absolutely.
And they were 2-1 and they were 3:20 and 3:30.
And the fact that we can say that old school baseball, back when there was no clock.
Felipe, I found myself throughout the entire game. I watched a lot of the Rays Tigers. All right. I watched a decent amount of the Mets Marlins, but I watched all of the Rays Tigers. I kept cleaning my glasses. At one point, I actually got up and walked really close to the television, figuring, man, my eyes are really going, because this game's like an hour and 40 minutes old, and it says we're in the 7th. There's no way that's possible. All right. I don't know what inning we're in, but it says we're in the 7th. And there's no way, because it's like 4:45.
I just love the fact that for the most part, the hitter would take a pitch or swing and miss. He'd take just 1 foot out of the box. If there was a runner on base, 1 foot out of the box, look at a signal, it went really quickly, back in. I mean, I watched a ton of baseball. I did not find, put it this way, David, I did not find myself watching the clock that much because I thought the pace was good enough that you didn't have to. And one of the things that Andy Fried said on the show yesterday, voice of the Rays, is that the minor league players all told him to a man that by May you won't even realize there's a clock anymore.
I'm curious to see if this affects the stamina of starting pitchers, if they'll start pitching less innings because they'll get tired quicker.
How can they pitch any less innings than they pitch already? My goodness, you pitch 6 innings. It's considered a complete game now, for crying out loud.
You're chucking at a high rate,
No,
back to back, you get tired.
Felipe, it's a good point. There's less time to rest in between half innings in the dugout. Also, you're having to pitch at a faster pace. The 15 pitches that you throw in that inning, you're going to do so in a couple minutes less time. No. It's legit.
And it's just like hitters. There's some pitchers that take their time with their routine, others that
Some.
are quick. Most, actually, yeah.
So, yeah, there's no doubt about it. By the way, nice to see Verlander on the IL. Okay. The Mets have $64 million in pitching on the IL right now, and 2 guys, Verlander and Diaz.
Mark, get back to me on Monday on how your neighbors are doing.
Oh, I haven't. I don't even want to see her today. I've got 2 neighbors who are diehard Mets fans. She's been out of her mind with Diaz being gone. Now with Verlander on the IL.
Oh, boy.
She's going to be inconsolable today when she makes her neighborhood walk. She's not
Even
even
though
going
they won.
to look at me and curse me. And it's only because I do a sports show and I know what she likes. I can see Pat today. She'll just look at me. Don't even talk to me. Don't even talk to me.
And they won.
Right.
And she'll be in a bad mood. But I was very encouraged by yesterday. All right. Not by the attendance. All right. The fact that over half the games were not sellouts. You know, Yankee Stadium not sold out. Now, they were within 2,000 of a sellout, but still, Yankee Stadium not sold out. Fenway not sold out. 5,000 empty seats at Wrigley. I mean, you could have walked right up and bought a ticket to the Cubs home opener. Yeah, I get it. I know they haven't been good the last couple of years. It's the Cubs, man.
The Reds sold out. So don't give me any excuses for
Right.
any other team not selling out. This is the Reds, who owner told them a year ago, where are you going to go?
Right. I challenge you to go find another team to root for. I dare you. The Royals sold out yesterday.
Boy, and that's a big stadium out there in Kansas City. And they're not good, by the way.
It's a great stadium, though. And they've actually made it smaller than what it was. There are a lot of people that are going to be very sad when they're apparently going to move to a downtown stadium in the next 5 years. And there are a lot of people. That's the only place they played. And that's a beautiful stadium. Don't know why you need a new one. I mean, they share the same parking lot with Arrowhead. People don't mind going to Chiefs games. What's the problem? Put a good product on the field. Hell, you don't even have to put a good product on the field. They sold out opening day. But,
Those overhead blimp shots in the 2014 World Series.
yeah,
Amazing.
back-to-back World Series there.
21,000 to text line. How much opening day baseball did you watch? What did you think of the pitch clock? Are you encouraged, like Miller and Moulton are, with baseball's opening day, knocking off 26 minutes from a year ago?
Pat Kirwan coming up in 25 minutes. FAU, Miami, in the Final Four. The basketball resumes tomorrow night. Texas, by the way, the capital of college basketball this weekend. The women are in Dallas. The men are in Houston. Pat Kirwan in 25 minutes. Play of the day next. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Adam Wainwright.
Wow.
Adam
He
Wainwright.
can't sing. Tough song to sing.
Sounds like a country singer.
It was not good.
Oh,
But
wait,
that's
he hit
really
that
cool.
over. He took his time.
Oh, wow. That's fun. Yeah, Brian, if I actually cared what was behind me, I'd cover it up, but I don't care. I don't care.
I don't care.
I don't care.
Talk to your God. Call your agent. I don't care. God, I love it so.
Don't know what to tell you, Axe. I don't care.
10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan in a little more than 15 minutes' time. He spent the week in Phoenix. Owners' meetings. We'll get Pat thoughts on what they did, what they didn't do. Less than a month out before the draft. Rick Barry. Most know him for his pro exploits in the ABA and the NBA. Before that, he was a 3-time All-American at the University of Miami. The Canes in the Final Four, along with FAU. We'll talk to the Basketball Hall of Famer coming up in a little more than an hour. All the money coming in on the Aztecs, Mark. Line's gone from 1.5 to 3. San Diego State a 3-point favorite, over under around 131 and change. So basically 67-64 San Diego State is the betting line.
That's a number that favors the 131 is what I'm curious about. To me, FAU's got to get that to around 138. If you know what I mean. Like I think they need the score to be higher. I think that's going to help FAU. If the pace is higher, more buckets, I think that favors FAU.
I would agree with that. I do think, though, it's possible that FAU can win this game the way they won it against Tennessee, which I think was like a 64-59 type game.
Yep.
So I have to admit, I think the over-under is right there. If anything, I might go under. But I'm going to stay away from the over-under. I'm taking the 3. I'm waiting. I'm hoping it gets to 3.5. I'm taking the 3, 3.5, 2.5, whatever it's going to be, and I'm going money line. I like FAU in this one.
San Diego State scored 63 against Charleston. They played brilliantly against Furman, scored 75. 71 against Alabama. And 57 against Creighton.
I mean, they hit their mid-range shots against Alabama to get to 71. They did. And a lot of possessions in that game because Alabama was, damn near 0 for the game from beyond the arc. That, does that continue also? San Diego State's got 2 things going on here. Their leading scorers had 2 bad games in a row. What's the odds he's going to have 3? Not good. So that's probably going to work against FAU. But can San Diego State continue to produce the 3-point defense that they've produced back-to-back against Creighton and Alabama? I mean, weren't those 2 teams combined 5 for 46?
Well, I want to say it's somewhere because it went down. It was 13% heading into that game, their opponent's field goal percentage from beyond the arc. I think it had to have gone down after the way Creighton shot the ball.
Well, I thought Creighton was 2 for 19.
Right.
And 0 for the second half. And I thought Alabama was 3 for 26. So you're looking at, right around 5 for 45, 5 for 46, that type of deal. I mean, that's 11%. That's 1 for 9 on average from deep. So that's remarkable. You can only credit the defense so much there. I mean, some of that's just guys are missing shots. And does that continue?
Well, I'll credit San Diego State's defense a lot for this because they're so physical. I think by the time the second half comes, they wear teams out, David.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Guys just miss shots, but sometimes they're missing shots because they've been getting pounded. San Diego State's deep. They're big. They're physical. I think it ends for FAU against San Diego State. I hate to say that. I'm rooting for FAU. I just think the physicality of San Diego State and the fact that, Tennessee was a similar team, but Tennessee was without one of their best scorers.
And also Tennessee throughout the season had nights in which if you left them alone, they couldn't beat themselves in a game of horse. For the record, 3 for 27 was Bama, 2 for 17 was Creighton, 5 for 44. So it's 11% and change. Basically they're holding teams to 1 for 9 from 3. Here's another reason why I like FAU. First off, they're top 40 in the country, both offensively and defensively. They're balanced. I don't think San Diego State's balanced. San Diego State's excellent defensively. I don't think they're even good offensively. They've had a good tournament. Also, FAU is top 20 in the country in 2-point defense. You can actually hit some threes against FAU. San Diego State's not a 3-point shooting team. I mean, they beat Creighton going 3 for 13 from beyond the arc.
No, in fact, to back up what you're saying, David, they're 233rd in the country in 3-point field goals.
They had a good game against Alabama. They were 6 for 17. That was 35%. But if you think about it, they won those 2 games last weekend. They went 8 for 30 from beyond the arc. And that's pretty average. So I love the fact that San Diego State, which at times offensively can struggle, and FAU in the half court defensively is excellent.
And FAU rebounds. They're a really good rebounding team. Can they out-rebound San Diego State, which is a really physical team? I think this game's won on the glass, David.
For what it's worth, Alabama out-rebounded San Diego State by 4. All right. San Diego State and Creighton were dead even on the boards. Remember, FAU out-rebounded Tennessee by 4. Big bad Tennessee, which pushed Duke around like a JV team in that second round game. And FAU was +4 on the glass. You and I have to admit, that our gut, you and I have seen this game differently from Monday morning. You've leaned Aztecs, and I'm trying to rein it in. I love FAU so much. And I think it's going to be a good game, close game, 5-6 points. But, man, I like FAU.
Hope you like the Clutch Vodka play of the day because it's now time for it. Felipe, what do you have for us today?
Adley Rutschman, Baltimore Orioles catcher, was called up in late May of last season. So this is his first true rookie season. And man, did he start off with a bang. 5 for 5, got on base 6 out of 6 times. He had a walk as well. And he started off his day and his season with a slam.
One of the best teams in the American League with him. They get a full season of him now. They get a full swing from him now. It's in the right field. It's a home run. His first opening day swing. Adley Rutschman puts the Orioles on the board in the new season with a home run at Fenway Park.
A lot of talk about Adley Rutschman, possibly, if he can keep it up, being one of the best catchers in baseball. 25-year-old Adley Rutschman.
And that's your Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K. Check them out at clutchspirits.com and hashtag all your drinks with the hashtag #ClutchSpirits.
Orioles bullpen was shaky yesterday. They gave 5 runs in the last 2 innings, held off the Red Sox 10-9. And we've talked attendance a little bit today, and a few people in the Twitch chat room anyway have brought up some things. Listen, I believe the fact that it was March 30th is the reason that, some of the places, particularly in the north, were not sold out. It was 43 degrees at Wrigley. I mean, they had decent weather in New York and Boston, but still it's March 30th. I could see where somebody's saying, don't know if I want to take the chance. Don't know how comfortable the day is going to be.
I'm stunned that Yankees and Red Sox. I mean, the Cincinnati Reds sold out.
They did.
It's tough to make excuses for the Yankees and Red Sox, David.
I agree. I totally agree. I was surprised. Now, granted, they were both within 2,000 of a sellout. They were both at like 96% capacity. But I was surprised.
And maybe Adam in the Twitch chat room makes a point. It's a day before payday. Friday games might have done a little bit better with a little extra juice in the pocket.
Make a dadgum good point.
We add a lot of juice to this show on the other side. Pat Kirwan NFL's moving the chains. Will join us next. We'll jump into the league as a whole with Pat Kirwan on the other side. Thanking you so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, Mark.
Pat. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for letting me wait to the end of the week. I seemed like I was on planes every time you had a show.
Oh, man. Are you back down here now?
I'm in Boston.
Oh, you're in Boston. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. You got hockey, don't you?
I got hockey this weekend. I got those two maniacs upstairs sleeping, so I told them just stay in bed and sleep until I get back from the radio. I'm sitting in my car because it's quiet out here. I'm overlooking the city of Boston.
See Lamar anywhere?
No. You know, you can cross off New England as another team that I'm not paying his ass. Lamar. How's everything going with you?
Good. We did a show up in St. Pete yesterday, met with the bosses. Things are, they are what they are, but they're not bad.
I was going to say, I don't know if you were just sending me a message of despair or status quo.
No, status quo. Unfortunately, some of the things they were working on are still up in the air, but they gave us the green light to do a lot more things ourselves, which is what we've been asking for a year. So that's a good thing.
Very good. It never materialized for you guys to be broadcasting in Detroit area, did it?
No. We did that week for him, but I've not really. They've he really likes his guy. We did a show with their afternoon guy. We did a couple segments with him. I think they know what the show is. We're not worried about the content. They just got to do a better job of selling it and getting us affiliates, and they're giving us more rope to let us do some of that stuff ourselves.
Good. What cities are still available that you're not in, that you want to be in?
West Palm would be the biggest one. West Palm and Jacksonville would be the two biggest.
There you go.
I mean, Miami's because I think that's a stretch because there's just nothing there.
Well, you got a Jacksonville resident on the show here.
Yeah, but supposedly the guy in charge there said he didn't like our show. That's the only person in state who actually just said, I don't like you guys, or you guys aren't good enough.
That's nice of him.
And
Do you know the guy from somewhere else?
I don't. So now that we're allowed to actually be the ones doing the talking and what have you, I'm going to meet up with that guy. Also, one, I don't know if he was telling the truth, if he just said it to get our guys to just stop bothering him. But even if he was telling the truth, he only sampled us for a very short time. So I'm going to make him aware of, Pat, listen, I don't think all that highly about what we do, but we did a show yesterday, which was major market quality. I'd put it up against anybody's show yesterday around the country, mornings or afternoons on opening day, how good our show was.
So take the audio of that and go to his office and sit
Totally.
and say, let's listen to this together.
Yep. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Especially since we're competing against either the Fox morning show or the ESPN national morning show. That's really who we're competing against. It's, will these stations in Jacksonville, Orlando, Tallahassee, wherever, would they carry us instead of carrying Keyshawn?
David, would you like me to email you each hour of yesterday's show?
No, just, I'll reach out to you over the weekend.
Okay.
Well, people that want to listen to Keyshawn, they must be out of their minds. I personally never listened to him. Here's your contract, kid. Sign it when you want, but you're not getting another dime. He signed it. Keyshawn. He had some really stupid things to say about Lamar the other day. Dope.
10 seconds.
Pat, you're back, right?
I'm in Boston. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in my car in the parking lot while the boys are sleeping upstairs.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Rick Barry will join us 1 hour from now. The greatest Canes basketball alum of them all. How many of you knew that? The basketball legend of Miami Hurricane, with Miami and FAU in the Final Four. Rick Barry 1 hour from now. It's time for Pat Kirwan to join us. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS's NFL Today show. And, of course, if it's Pat Kirwan, it's brought to you by Pinchers. Pinchers. Tampa to Key West, over a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Pat, how was Phoenix?
Phoenix was good. I mean, predictable. A lot of nonsense, recommendations and things to vote on. Oh, with the big news, I told Jim I was getting ready to leave early when I heard the big news was you could wear 0 if you wanted to. I go, that's enough, Jim. I'm getting out of town. That did 0 for me personally, but look, they love to send stuff out and see what the public reaction is, and it didn't do well for them on Thursday flicks. They'll wait till May when no one's around and pass it, which is pathetic. The scrum, it was clear to me, I tried to interview as many of them as I could, and they didn't do enough homework. So now they got to go back to the drawing board on that. And then finally, the one that annoyed me the most was the attempt by the defensive head coaches, which, by the way, when I talked to them, starting with Ron Rivera and Pete, your team does play offense too. So when they were trying to get knocked out of the play that you could cut block the back side of the line of scrimmage with a tight end or a Z receiver, and they called it a crackback block, I at least got them to admit, it's not a crackback block. And then John Marin goes, well, we're kind of moving away from that definition of, you can't see the guy coming. I said, well, why? That made sense on the Hines word. But anyway, the offensive coaches, thank God we have enough of them in the league and more than defense. What happened? They had to shelf that till they get the coaches out of the room, which would be May, and then they'll try to pass that, which is not good because when the tight end or the Z receiver is coming across, as soon as he passes the center, apparently he can't block low on the defensive end, which is a backside zipper block is what we called it. And if you don't have that, the defensive guys are going to wreak havoc on these young, skinny blockers. And it's not a good idea.
All right. Then why do these rules continually get passed, Pat? Rules that we've done this with you for several years, and it seems like every time we come out of these meetings, you're in a foul mood. Why do they continue to pass rules that you, in your opinion, aren't good for the game?
Because there's an agenda that doesn't include the coaches. It's the competition committee and wherever they're driven by what they claim the data is. And I have real suspicions about the data. There's no way they have any data on the scrum play. Just because Philadelphia used it successfully doesn't make it a good play. And if they paid attention to the rugby people who would tell them the most dangerous thing in rugby is the scrum and the broken neck stuff is not, it's serious. And Ron Rivera promised me that he was going to go. I gave him some phone numbers of head rugby people in England. He said, you can talk to those guys. They monitor injuries too. And forget the quarterback getting hurt. It's the center, the two guards, and the defensive tackles. One of them is going to get hurt. Look at any picture of that scrum sneak play, and the first thing you see is that the 5 positions I just mentioned all drop their head and dive low. And someone's going to get pinned down under that, and you're not going to know it. So hopefully, and I said, if it happens, if you pass this and let people keep doing this, and I know David, our historian, knows you used to never be able to aid a player. So hopefully they come to their senses on that. Right now, they look to me like they're going to pass it in May and let everyone keep doing it.
There's 2 parts to it that I don't like, that don't make sense to me. When they want to make these player safety claims, well, think
Right.
about it. I'm a defensive tackle. I'm going up against my 300-pound guy in front of me. Now, all of a sudden, 200 to 400 pounds of weight comes from that side. I've got no chance. What's the likelihood I'm going to get hurt? Because I got 700 pounds now leaning on me instead of 300. All right. I would think at some point I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to get bent backwards. It seems as if it's setting up an injury. But to be honest, Pat, do you know why I thought that they would outlaw it? It's bad television.
Yeah.
Not only is it an ugly looking play, the networks need more punts. The Super Bowl was a problem for Fox. There weren't enough possessions. If you keep converting, once you get to 3rd and 2, if you can run 2 rugby scrums and keep moving the chains, your game turns into an Army-Navy football game. Okay, and I love me Army-Navy. They play once a year. All right.
Yeah.
The NFL's used to about 13 possessions for each team. Do you know what the Super Bowl was? Less than 10 per team.
Yep.
And I'm really surprised, for as much as they pay attention to their media partners, and clearly they're changing the rules for Thursday Night Football to appease Amazon, why it is they won't go. Listen, for as entertaining as that Super Bowl was, we actually needed a couple more punts.
Oh, and they're trying to take the foot out of football. If you start looking at that too, and that's data driven again, that, the injury rate in the punt game and the kick game is driving them. And I wish they'd just admit that and say we're getting rid of the kickoff, but they haven't done that yet. So they keep doing things to make sure there are no returns. That's really what they'd like. And to your point, health and safety, I don't mind health and safety as a driver of all decisions, but they pick and choose which ones they want to use.
Right.
Well, yeah, because you can't do all of these things on health and safety and tell teams they're going to play maybe 3 Thursday night football games in a season when you add Thanksgiving into it. I mean, Pat, we're smarter than that, and I don't know why it is the league thinks we're so dumb.
Because they care more about, as David said, Amazon than us. And I thought John Mara, who I had a great conversation with, but John Mara made the strongest statement of all. And he said, this is inconsiderate to our season ticket holders, which is the nice part of what he said. And the follow-up was, and it's abusive. That's what he said about Thursday Night Football. inconsiderate to our season ticket holders. How novel is that? Followed by abusive. So you guys were talking before about not selling out the Yankees and the Red Sox. You're going to see, here's the problems I got for all week since I got back, and really while I was still there. People were pointing out how impossible it will be for them to go to a Thursday night game that's flexed into Thursday when they have Sunday off and they can't get to where they want to go. One complaint after another. Who's listening to them? So I can keep the door open for them to come on and complain, and be specific why you can't make the game if they change it to Thursday night. And let me ask you, David, if they flex Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night, what are they leaving for 1 o'clock on Sunday?
Well, that's the other part. Yes, you're appeasing Amazon, but you're sticking it to Fox and CBS, who, much longer partners, much more lucrative partners. Yeah, I get it. Amazon ended up with a bad schedule last year. Well, okay, do a better job in May before you put it out. I don't know what to tell you. Or at least, I mean, listen, it sounds like they're going to get the votes because they got 22 of them apparently in the bag. They only need 2 more. And apparently Mr. Rooney is a no now, but he's going to be a yes if they take 15 days and make it more like 30. Okay, but I mean, they are sticking it to the fan. And Pat, we have been talking for a long time. It's the 800-pound gorilla. It seems as if it cannot be blown up. But, man, they are trying.
They are trying.
Really, why are they trying? I mean, and it's pennies on the dollar.
It's arrogance. If they do, there isn't a mindset that we can't be taken down. Like, they think of themselves kind of like the Roman Empire. No sport challenges them. No television programming challenges them. And they apparently think the fans will pay forever. I think there's a little tip in that not sold out Yankees, not sold out Boston. Did you ever think you'd see that?
No, Pat, not at Fenway and Yankee Stadium, not for opening day.
No, and I'm up in Boston right now. It was a beautiful sunny day yesterday. And airport, hotel, restaurants, zero conversation about the Red Sox. And I
How
was
many
trying to
conversations
encourage-
about Lamar?
Now Lamar. Thanks for switching gears, Mark. One more time, real slow. Why is he not going to get signed? Number one, contract demands are ridiculous. How about the funniest comment of the week? He doesn't want a fully guaranteed deal. He just wants more guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson.
Right.
And then you can throw on some unguaranteed on top of that to make yourself feel better. So the contract demands are ridiculous. The recent medical history is terrible. And his postseason play is terrible. He's not worth it. But I'll go back to what I said a month ago. I don't think he really wants to be in Baltimore.
I
don't either, Pat. I don't either.
Pat, for the record, Mark has decided this week that Lamar will not be a Raven next year. I believe he will be, but Mark is now of the belief that Lamar is going to be somewhere else.
Well, I'm in between on that one. And so what would I do if I were the Ravens? That's the question of the day if you're them. I would be drafting Hooker. I'd move up in the bottom of the first round ahead of Seattle or someone else, draft Hooker. And then on July 15th, if he doesn't sign and be ready to go, and he's going to now hold out during camp, I would go get Matt Ryan and finish out the year while I'm waiting for this guy to finally go away.
Okay, so let's backtrack here. Baltimore's drafting 22nd. Seattle's second first-round pick's at 20. You believe Hendon Hooker is going to be taken in the first round? He's old, and he's coming off a torn ACL.
Yeah, he's at a position where they play till they're 35, so he's not old. If you tell me a running back is 20, you know what? Tell me who has a longer lifespan, a 21-year-old running back or a 25-year-old quarterback.
So that's interesting that you think Baltimore has to trade up. Do you think they also have to trade ahead of Detroit at 18?
Maybe. Well, you know what? I talked to their coach for a long time. He doesn't even see quarterback as an issue right now. He does not at all. And he is excited about where they are with Goff. and he, because Goff came through for him. He was hard on Goff. He was harder on Goff than Dable was on our friend over there, Mr. Daniel. So he's dispelling the hunt for a quarterback right now.
Well, and now they need backups, which you've talked about a bunch. But back to Lamar, just one last question. Now, if you're Indianapolis, what do you think? Could you get through the draft and then trade and work next year's picks into it? Because I still think it's a possibility.
It is a possibility. And I love that people think that's really tricky. Like, guys, I laugh sometimes at things people write. Like, here's a maneuver. Wait till after the draft. I'm pretty sure Baltimore wouldn't mind the pick in 2024 and 2025. There's nothing wrong with that. They have ways to circumvent this problem, but no one, and I mean no one, is writing a contract that Lamar will bring back to Baltimore. He's Kirk Cousins. He's a two-tag guy, and then he's free.
All right. My final question then will be right now, 4 weeks out, what do you think Indianapolis is doing? They don't have a quarterback. And it looks as if they can't draft anyone better than the third quarterback in this draft.
Yeah. And so it as always, it'll come down to how they rank the board. Now, they know they're going third. So how many times, Mark, have we heard a guy after he drafts a player, he was first on our board?
Every
they
time.
They all say it.
Every time.
Every damn time. So whoever was first on their board will be the third quarterback taken. That's really what's going to happen here. Look, Irsay said, let's grow our own. It's time for us to draft one and grow our own. And he's already said he's never given anyone a fully guaranteed contract. So they'll take the third guy, but thank God he was number one on their board.
He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Move of the Chains, weekday afternoons 3 to 7, part of CBS's NFL Today show as well. Pat joining us courtesy of Pinchers, from Tampa to Key West and all points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat, have a great weekend in New England. Safe travels. We'll talk next week.
I have one fast question for you. Based on the Richardson workout, I want you to think about what you saw yesterday as it relates to real football. And I ask you this, would you draft a guy in baseball in the first round off the batting cage?
Pat, stop making sense, okay? Please stop.
All right, see you guys.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'm not ducking the question, Nick, but I don't think there's a chance that he drops to 13. First off, he'd have to get past the Raiders at 7, who are very interested. But even if he does, if he's there at 10, the likelihood is that Philly will trade out. Somebody will move up and take him. And no, the Jets are not going to draft Richardson at 13. They're going to draft probably an offensive tackle.
Little switch topic, but it's now their end zone upper deck seats for the Final Four. The cheapest seats right now for Final Four, $45.
You're kidding.
Yeah, it'll be.
It was when I checked 2 days ago. It was like 65-70.
Right.
It's going to be $5 by the time. I'm telling you, for these upper deck seats, it's going to be $5-10. You're going to be able to walk into the game for a song.
Felipe, if you will be able to see 2 Final Four games with a $20 bill. Actually, you'll be able to see 3 Final Four games with a $20 bill because I'm with Mark. I think you can get in tomorrow at tip of FAU San Diego State for $10 or less. And then I think you can spend $5 for Monday night. You might, with the $20, be able to actually buy a soft drink.
So basically, I'll spend more money on gas to drive to Houston than for my ticket.
You might spend more money on the Uber from the hotel to the arena than we think you'll spend on tickets.
Yeah, this is one where if you had a buddy in Houston, you jump on a plane today.
I'd like get in my car today, like right after the show. It's a damn shame I'm working.
Where you were? Oh, you got that
You're doing that Geico thing, right?
Yeah.
How
By the
was
way,
that?
great. It was awesome yesterday.
Is it an all-star tournament or is it?
No,
a
it's a national championship tournament.
Well,
It's
high
the
school
semifinals,
teams?
finals. Yes, or like charter schools, like Montverde, those kind of high schools.
What are you doing? Are you a camera? What are you doing?
So yesterday, my job was to escort NBA scouts to their designated seating areas.
Okay.
So I literally was just talking to NBA scouts all day, and it was awesome. Darren Tillis used to play for the Celtics. Remember him?
Not really.
No, name doesn't ring a bell. Whatever. This guy named Darren Tillis. He played in the NBA in the 80s, and he's a scout for the Mavericks.
Well, I know Reggie Rankin was there because he lives in the area.
Jameer Nelson was there. I showed Jameer Nelson where the bathroom was. That was cool.
Wow.
Oh,
Did you even hold it too?
God, what's wrong with you? Whatever. There were NBA scouts.
Yes. I have to admit, I'm guessing there were 137 people there, so I'm guessing it wasn't hard to find them their seat.
Yeah. Not a lot of basketball fans in Southwest Florida.
There aren't 6 people that know that tournament's even going on.
I know. Yeah. And it kind of stinks because every single game of the tournament yesterday was on ESPNU. Every single one. And one of them ended on a buzzer-beating half-court shot.
It is amazing to me the events that will not spend $1,000 to promote their events locally.
I don't know if they know where to do it at. I mean, if you know who.
But the fact there's no one associated with the event.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton along the syndicated network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We're just halfway home in the 239. The bonus hour awaits in an hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You miss any part of the show, go to floridasportsnetwork.com and download what you missed. Just had Pat Kirwan on. Going to have Rick Barry on in a little more than 35 minutes' time. The best player in Miami Hurricanes history. In fact, you could argue of all the athletes in all the sports at the University of Miami, wouldn't he have to be on the Mount Rushmore of Canes athletics? And not for his pro career, but I meant for his college exploits. He was a 3-time All-American. He could only play 3 years. Averaged, 35 a game his senior year? I mean, it's tough. You could, pick your great Canes football players. Pick your great Canes baseball players. He might very well be on their Mount Rushmore athletically, too.
Didn't play in a tournament his senior year because the team was on probation. He averaged 37.4 a game as a senior. 37.4. There was no three-point line.
Bingo. Right. So the great Rick Barry, who we know was in Southwest Florida at the beginning of the week for a big autograph event, and also it was his birthday this week, right?
Yeah. 28th was his birthday.
So Tuesday was his birthday. Well, he's on his, I don't know if he's at the Final Four or he's on his way to the Final Four, but he's going to be there. Hell, Canes make the Final Four. It got to go.
Since we're just coming off opening day, Rick Barry wore 24 for the majority of his career, wore it at Miami. Do you know why, David?
As a matter of fact, I do.
Of course you do. Thought I might have had one there. I really, for that moment, I thought I had something on David. Go ahead.
Well, he grew up in Jersey. He was born in Elizabeth. He went to Roselle Catholic High School. It's 30 or so minutes from the city. And remember, when he was growing up, you had the 3 baseball teams in New York. And so when Rick was growing up, he could watch not just the Yankees, but he could watch the Dodgers and the Giants. He was a big Willie Mays fan.
Big Willie Mays fan. That's why he picked 24.
Wow.
Thought I had one. I thought for once I had one. I mean, I felt really good about that. I mean, I read it. I didn't know it. It's not like I study this crap and remember it. I just was reading about Rick Barry this morning. I'm just kind of brushing up because I have it on the show. Wanted to see if I could find a little factoid, a little tidbit, something to add. And there I go. I had my little tidbit. Here we go. 8:02 in the morning, ready for the tidbit. You know what? Moulton just stepped on it.
Well, first off, you asked. I didn't step on it. I was going to let you have it. All right? I was going to let you have it. Mark, here's the problem. We were both born in the same city, Rick Barry and I. We were both born in Elizabeth, New Jersey. So, that's one of those things when you're a guy and you're growing up and you want to be a sportscaster and, and there's a small connection. He's a legendary player. And I'm like, well, wow, we were born in the same city. Now, I don't know if we were born in the same hospital. There were 2 that were pretty close together. All right. And I don't think I need to go that far down the road to find out if we were both born in the same Elizabeth hospital.
Not going to open with that?
But I do want to delve into and I'm not playing around. I was thinking of Felipe this morning, in which I was thinking for as much of a Miami guy as he is, he loves all things Miami. He will adopt colleges, pro teams, and what have you. He is very proud of being born and raised in Miami. I'm wondering how much does Felipe know about Rick Barry's Hurricanes basketball career? And so I thought not only get Rick Barry because the Canes are in the Final Four. I think a lot of our audience is probably unfamiliar.
Well,
That they're
I'm
probably
curious as to the why. How the hell do you go from New Jersey to Miami when he did it?
in the early 60s, right?
By the way, you're right about that he's the first snowbird because that's most of the University of Miami now. Jersey to Miami. So
Yeah,
he was the
Jersey.
original.
Miami loved being in the Big East football. They absolutely loved it. Okay, all that Jersey, New York money. Absolutely. Send your kids here. Out of state tuition, go private. Huh. Yes. Yes. Uh-huh. You guys are arrogant and you walk the walk and talk the talk. We're arrogant and we walk the walk and talk the talk. Absolutely. Send your kids here. So,
By the way, there is some royalty behind the number 24.
yeah.
I mean, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, Willie Mays, Kobe Bryant, Ricky Henderson.
Well, Bonds started with 24. He
Right.
switched to 25, obviously, when he went to the Giants because, well, there's a certain guy who had that number retired.
Jeff Gordon.
Is it Gordon or is it the car? See, when the guy who replaces when the guy who replaces Gordon is driving the same number car, it's the car. It's not the
Hey,
driver.
really?
Sure.
Oh,
Come
that's
on now.
we'll have a
No.
problem with that.
No. Like for a long time, they took 3 out of circulation.
I have a problem with that. No, that's Jeff Gordon's number. Uh-uh.
No, it's the car.
That's ridiculous.
It's the car.
No
Okay.
respect.
I know you're right, David. And I know you're right, but I'm on Felipe's side because I don't think when I think 24, I think NASCAR, I think Gordon.
I do as well.
When I think 3, I think Earnhardt. I don't know who are driving these numbers now and don't care as much.
But I mean, you have to admit there are certain drivers in which you would think they would take the number out of circulation. I've always thought that. And the car owner owns the number. So it's their call. Like Richard Childress took 3 out of circulation for a long time. And it was a little controversial when he brought it, back in play. And not everybody was happy about that. And they thought, oh, by the way, if anybody should be driving a car with 3, it should be his kid. And if he wasn't going to do it, who else should do it? But I digress. So anyway, I'm excited to talk about Rick Barry, a kid from Jersey, choosing the University of Miami 60 years ago. And then, by the way, marries the coach's daughter. I mean, it turned out to be the greatest decision of his life.
Can you ask him if he ever considered playing for the Floridians in the ABA? Like, did he have that emotional attachment to Miami where he wanted to come home? I don't know, because why did he come to Miami?
We'll see. We will ask. We will ask how he ended up from Jersey to Miami. I'm guessing the weather had something to do with it. Not the taxes, but the weather. I'm telling you. We'll find out if he was the first snowbird. Either him or Jackie Gleason.
I'm just trying to figure out where I-95 ended at that point. It sure as hell didn't end in Miami.
I'm trying to think even if the turnpike was around in Jersey.
Hell no.
I'm trying to think, did they connect Philly to the city yet? That's right around the time I think they started construction.
How long was that train ride that you had to take to Miami?
Yeah, really. So looking forward to Rick Barry coming up in now what will be about 30 minutes time. But Canes, 5.5-point dogs against UConn. They're the nightcap. That game will tip close to 9:00.
Yeah, that line's not moved at all. San Diego State's gone anywhere from a point to a point and a half higher. I've got it at 2.5 right now. David has it at 3. Shop accordingly if you're going to wager.
Sure.
That is the one thing. If you're a gambler, and that's, one of the reasons David and I can't wait for this to become an open market or hope that it comes an open market, because you can shop for that half point. Not every book's the same.
By the way, not that it matters, because it doesn't to us. But I actually think if CBS had a rooting interest in the first game, that they'd root for FAU. Neither one of these teams have a following. But San Diego State, you cannot pass off as a Cinderella. And even though we know, because of where we live, that FAU's been a top 25 team for most of the season, and they've won 35 games and all that, most of the country looks at FAU as a Cinderella.
Well, it's the second time they've ever been in the tournament. They didn't win a game the last time they were in it. San Diego State, come on. If you've been filling out brackets for 20 years, you've seen San Diego State on your bracket plenty of times.
Yeah, especially in the last 10, 12 years. You haven't seen FAU but once. The other thing is no team higher than an 8 or lower than an 8. I always get that confused. All right. I think it's lower.
It is
than an
technically.
8. Yeah. I always get that wrong. No team lower than an 8 seed's ever won the national championship. So it's, FAU as a 9, if they could make it to the championship game, that in and of itself, like Mark, I'm trying to think, has there ever been, because we've had a bunch of 11s make it to the Final Four. I think all the 11s got beat in the semis. George Mason, VCU, right. LSU back in the day. I think all the 11s got beat in the semis. Villanova in 85 was an 8 seed. When they took out Georgetown, they were an 8 seed.
And hell, we thought of them as a Cinderella at the time.
Well, yeah. They were playing the 86 Celtics. That's how good we thought Georgetown was in 85. I mean, my goodness.
And it still was a 7-point margin.
Right.
From the books. If Connecticut were to win and play Florida Atlantic, it would open in double digits.
You think so? Because like South Carolina, Iowa, the women's Final Four tonight is 11.5. You think the UConn FAU line would be close?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
If it's 5.5 against the Canes,
add a field goal, I do think it'd be 8.5. I think it'd be around there.
I think it'd be right around 10.
Okay.
For what it's worth, if that's what we get. I don't think we're getting that. I like the Canes more than I like FAU.
Ooh, wow, you and I see this weekend very differently.
Good.
Yeah, well, somebody will have, be able to, maybe we'll split. One of us can boast the 6 o'clock game. One of us can boast the 9 o'clock game. By the way, I'm going with the All-Florida championship game. I think UConn's going to feel the pressure. I think Miami's going to keep it close mid-second half, and UConn hasn't been a close game in a month.
They haven't had a weak tournament game yet. And I just think it's going to happen tomorrow night where they're not going to play as well as they've played throughout the tournament. And I love the Canes, but I like San Diego State. Miller and Moulton. Rick Barry coming up in 25 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. It varies, Missouri. He was on this morning at 7:38. Usually it's at 8 o'clock, but Pat's busy. When Pat's busy, we accommodate Pat.
Through the draft, he's on Tuesdays and Fridays. This week he wouldn't do Tuesday because he was in Phoenix. Once we get past the draft about a week, we scale back on Pat to once a week, and then we pretty much accommodate his golf schedule.
I didn't get to play at all this week. What a shame. Not playing today.
The heck?
I got a closing at 3:30. A little more.
Well, then you're darn right it is. Can't complain about that then.
No, I was just bummed out about Steve Florida telling me he's moved to Babcock. I didn't get his listing of his old house. I want one listing from the Twitch chat room before this whole thing ends. That's my goal. You want to pay Miller? Sell your house. Screw the sponsorship. Screw the subscription. I need a listing. Preferably from the richest one of you that has a big house. LIV and live in Orlando today. Of course it is, Paper City. Only 2 games that were not high-scoring games went over 3 hours, David. Atlanta, Washington was 307, and Pittsburgh, Cincinnati was 302. The other 3-hour games were 10-9, 10-9, 11-7. Rays had the shortest game.
Missouri, and a lot of great players.
Well, where do I do that at? No, that's not it. Oh, that's why. Oh, thank you, Jeff Patera.
I'm sure it makes FGCU a little mad knowing that there's a facility right down the street at FSW that takes a giant dump on theirs. Because that arena at FSW is so nice.
I don't think it takes a giant dump on it, though. It's a nicer arena, but it's dark.
with like their food stands and like,
The
Well,
food stands? FSW's food stands?
oh my God, they had these cinnamon covered pecans that were to die for.
Yeah, they've got them in Barbara B. Okay.
In person, the FSW arena is much nicer. On television, Alico looks better.
Right.
They have to do the lighting.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Rick Barry coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Both FAU and Miami are underdogs. That whole ESPN, chance to win gives FAU about a 42% chance. They basically say, Mark, if it was a best of 7, San Diego State would win in 7. It's like 57% San Diego State to win, 43% for FAU. That's 4 out of 7. So they say it would be a terrific playoff series. Edge San Diego State. Meanwhile, UConn Miami, 23% chance for the Canes. They played 4 times. Maybe they'd win once. That's what the whole ESPN percentage to win analytic thing that they come up with says.
Okay.
Right.
Not sure if that's based on just what the tournament results are. I don't know how much regular season counts into that.
I'm guessing it's the whole thing. Guessing it's all 36 games. Throw all the info in there. I'm a little surprised the Miami UConn line has not gone up because I thought there'd be a big Northeast betting contingent on UConn. I think UConn will have as many fans as the other 3 schools combined at this thing. I don't know that we'll ever get a full crowd shot, if you know what I mean. But, Mark, you looked at the secondary marks. We talked about this earlier in the week. What can you walk into the semifinals tomorrow for?
$60 right now.
I thought you said upstairs it was 45.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 40. It was $60 when I checked earlier in the week. On Tuesday, it was $60. It's now $45 for a pair of tickets. And it's going to continue to go down. I just want to, and I was checking for 2. If you want a single, $40. $40.
And by 6 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night, I don't think you'll have to spend more than a 20. In fact, I think there's a chance you could see all 3 games for $20 total. Because I think Monday night you can get in for $5. All the coaches are gone. 2 of the 4 fan bases are gone. And think about who's going to be left.
And if Miami beats UConn,
whew,
of which the majority of the fans are going to be UConn fans, coaches are going to be giving away their tickets, for crying out loud. They're going to be trying to sell them for some good money. How about you just, what do you got in your pocket? You got $10? I just got to get out of here.
Right. I'm leaving town. $20 would be great. Thanks. No, these are good seats. They sit us, like 20th row there. We're in the middle there. They give us decent seats. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if we'll ever get a crowd shot, to show that. But remember when a couple years there, the Heat in like the mid 2000s, they were, before Wade and Odom, and then, they had like a year or two and they still had the yellow seats. It was in between like the morning Tim Hardaway years and the Dwayne Wade years take over. They had like a year or two where they were not good. And that's how they got in position to draft Dwayne Wade. And they had those yellow seats that no one was sitting in. And that was why they had to change the color of the seats, because it was just so embarrassing. If we had yellow seats in that Houston football stadium this weekend, it would look like one big banana.
I am going to be checking StubHub hourly to watch the ticket prices drop on this game.
I'm telling you, I really think you and I could get in Monday night. I think there's a chance we could get in and buy a soft drink for $20. 2 tickets and a drink. Not 2 drinks, just one. I think there's a chance.
We have Felipe beside himself right now because he didn't think this was possible. Now that he's watched the ticket prices decreasing, he's literally pulling his hair out, and it's growing while he pulls it out because the mop is fantastic today. Because you've never been to a Final Four. It's obviously high on your bucket list, the basketball fan that you are. And here you are staring at the cheapest ticket ever, and you've got to work this week.
Here I am staring at an opportunity that I might never get ever again.
Probably not.
It's true. And certainly not for the money. I mean, you would spend far more on gasoline driving there than you would on tickets and anything else.
It's like a 15-hour drive.
Mm-hmm. So full
I will leave after this show.
There you go. There you go. Here's the other thing. The games aren't until Saturday night. You can pull over to a cheap hotel in, Alabama, Mississippi, and then get back up and finish the drive Saturday. I mean, game's not till 5 o'clock local tip.
Hell, we could just drive to New Orleans, spend the night in the Big Easy, and then head over in the morning.
Yeah. Hot steaming deal. Yep. Mm-hmm.
He's got the fever right now.
I would, because I know I'd regret not going. I mean, a 15-hour drive is doable.
Well, but also here's the other thing,
weekend.
Felipe. You're 22 years old, and you're this big Miami sports fan. And obviously, we hope you have a long and terrific life. Average life expectancy of a male is what, 74? So in theory, you got 50 plus years. Right now, the money line, Canes get back to the Final Four in your lifetime. Where would you place my $20?
In 50 years?
Yeah.
With the basketball program that they've developed in the state of Florida as the basketball state that we are, it's probably an even money bet.
Really? We're having Rick Barry on the show in 12 minutes. Okay. He played in the early 60s. You know why he's going to the Final Four this weekend? Because his alma mater's in it for the first time.
And it's an experience I'd much rather enjoy in my 20s than my 70s.
Correct.
Or 80s.
So
if I get that far. But
never mind the fact you actually get a Florida team in the other semifinal.
Right.
I mean, before last weekend, there had only been 3 Florida schools ever make the Final Four. Gators, Knowles, and Jacksonville.
I think watching the Final Four would be more exciting than watching the national championship game. 2 games versus 1.
I think you'll be able to walk in the arena Monday night, Mark. 8:30 Monday night. No more than $5
for nosebleeds, and I think you could actually get a good seat for $50.
Well, but I also think you'll be able to walk down.
That's true.
I mean, at halftime, you don't think you could watch the second half in the lower level? I think you could. But it's Nance's Final Four.
And he's angry because Houston's not there.
Hello, friends.
He might not say friends this time. He's so angry. He might just say hello, people.
Apparently it's to his dad. Apparently when he says it every time, he's saying it to his late father. So, so I think he'll
had to throw away the script for Houston winning the whole thing that he wrote a month ago.
Well, and this will be something also. If it's not UConn, what will be the scripted call for either the Canes, the Aztecs, or the Owls? I mean, him and his producer are going to have to work on that Sunday night in the hotel room. If it ain't the Huskies, a UConn one, that'll be easy.
Right.
Plus, he's done the last 4. I mean, so, you know,
He
it'll
knows
be
how to-
easy.
He's got that one already in the can.
Right.
You are right. What happens if we don't get UConn? I'm telling you, the ticket price just plummets. Miller and Moulton. The great Rick Barry. He is next, right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Can't fly. Driving is the only option.
No, flying, I just looked at that. Unless,
Yeah,
I don't
I
know,
just looked at
does
flights.
Allegiant fly to Houston out of Punta Gorda? That was the only thing I was going to check. Excuse me.
Let's see.
Thank you.
Toughest part would be accommodations, Felipe.
As in like hotels?
Yes.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
are the accommodations, yes.
Yeah, I'll sleep in my car. I really don't care.
They have to let you.
I'll park at a McDonald's.
They have to let you.
Okay, rest stop.
No Houston for Allegiant.
Damn it.
It's 15 hours, right? To
Yep.
Houston?
16 hours.
Okay, 16 hours.
15.
So it's 10, 11 hours to New Orleans. That's where you spend your night. And then you got 5 hours in the morning. The game's a 5 o'clock local tip.
And then after the game, what?
Well, it's up to you.
The game starts at 8:49.
Well, that's the Miami game. I mean, if you're going to go, you might as
Oh,
well
that's
get
true.
there for the
That's true.
FAU game.
You're right. You're right. Okay, yeah. FAU tips up at 6:09.
But remember, it's 5 o'clock local time. You'll
Oh,
be in
true.
the central time zone.
True. But what? Final game will be over 10. I'll be walking out of NRG.
No. Well, maybe. Yeah. You'd be there 5 to 10. You'd be there 5 hours of game time. 2 semifinals, the half hour in between. 5 hours.
Just spend all of Sunday driving home.
Well, you could do that,
Or you stay till Monday.
which becomes Tuesday.
Right.
Well, I got a show Monday.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, you do.
that's not smart. Oh man, can't do this alone. Also, And I'd likely have to make a decision by the end of the show today, because I am driving straight to Geico right after this. And I'd be just ditching Geico.
It's funny, David. I just looked at the 8:35. I know we got Rick Barry, and that's awesome. I looked. I'm going, is it 9:35? Yesterday's show went by so fast. Not that this should just.
It really did.
I just spelled his damn name wrong. Oh.
Rick Barry is on hold. $15 seconds. There we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. This man has been very gracious to us over the years. About a dozen times we have been able to talk to him, and we do so for the first time with his alma mater in the Final Four. He is basketball legend Rick Barry, College Hall of Famer, Pro Hall of Famer, ABA champion, NBA champion. We were wondering, Rick, thanks first off for your time, a belated happy birthday. Were you the first snowbird? You or Jackie Gleason? Who was the first one to go from the Northeast to Miami?
Well, Jackie Gleason was a little older than I was. It was definitely Jackie Gleason for sure. And I remember, the Honeymooners, amazing show, and Art Carney, and it was to the moon, Alice, to the moon. I remember all that crazy stuff.
Well, Rick, what made you decide, looking back all this time, what was the reason that you chose Miami? A Northeast kid, basketball big there. We were talking earlier, Cincinnati and Ohio State were great at that time. So why Miami?
Well, so I could get out of New Jersey. I wanted to go someplace where I didn't have to wear an overcoat and scarves and gloves and earmuffs and things of that nature. And I wanted to go someplace where they played the brand of basketball that would be conducive for my style of game. And I was really impressed with Bruce Hale, who was the coach then, a former pro player. I mean, if you look back and see, we set an NCAA record my senior year in 1964-65. Without the three-point shot, we averaged 98 points a game. Think about that. When do you even see a college game where one team scores 98 points? And so it was really up-tempo. We had a bunch of great players. Junior G, who's still living down here in Florida, and Rick Jones, and Bob Green, and Wayne Beckner. And, I mean, we had so many guys that were just really outstanding players and shooters. And if we had the three-point shot back then, I think we would have scored 110 or more. It was crazy. And it was so much fun style of basketball. unfortunately, we didn't have a place to play on campus. We practiced in the Armory that was on campus. We had to go to the Miami Beach Convention Center in Miami, and then we went to. We actually played in Dade County Community College. Can you imagine that? I mean, a major university playing in a community college for their home basketball games. It was quite an experience, to say the least. But it was fun basketball. It's great to see the program, to have come back and what Jim Larinaga has done after they dropped the program for like 14 years. I was so disappointed in Dr. Henry King Stanford for making that decision and tried to come down and convince them not to do that, but unfortunately they did. So it was quite a journey for the basketball program in Miami, but they finally got the right guy. Jim has done a terrific job taking another team to the Final Four after he did that with George Mason. So fun. It's a fun team and really kind of cool to see where they are right now to have an opportunity to go on and maybe win a national championship. I'm hoping that happens.
Well, and Rick, unfortunately, your great senior year team didn't get a chance to play in the postseason because of probation.
Oh, don't even get me started up with that. Will you please? Oh my God, this is my dad, Henry King Stanford, did that too.
Well, and quite frankly, if you think about it, if that had not been the case, probably the future of Miami basketball would have been radically changed. I mean, you guys were capable of doing anything that year. The program probably doesn't get dropped and what have you. But, we were commenting earlier in the show, we're based out of Southwest Florida. You were a coach there for a couple years. And at the time the Miami job opened up, when you were coaching in the USBL and you interviewed for the job, when you were selling them your vision, did you believe in your heart that this was possible? This is what Miami basketball could be, back-to-back Elite Eights and a Final Four.
Yeah. I mean, I really thought I'd like to make that happen. I was so disappointed. It was a big waste of my time. Paul D., I told him, I said, please. I guess the only reason he came up to even interview me is because a writer from I don't know if it was the Herald or the Tribune, I don't know, whoever did it. Anyway, they Miami News, they asked me about it. I said, yes, I would be very interested in doing it. And I really was, sincerely. And so I said, please don't come up and waste my time to interview me if you're not serious about this. And he really wasn't. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, he came up to me and the first thing out of his mouth said, well, you do know that we really feel as though we should have someone with previous experience in college coaching because we're so concerned, because remember, Miami had problems with the football program and the violations and suspensions and things. And when he said that, I wanted to tell him, well, why don't you just go back to Miami, stop wasting my time? But I didn't do that. And I said, well, that's really interesting. I said, I would think that you would want somebody like me. And here's why. First of all, you would want somebody like me because I didn't know the rules, okay? So you're worried about somebody cheating. Well, the only way you can cheat is you have to know the rules to cheat. I said, so I would rely 100% on your compliance officer to tell me what I could and couldn't do. I said, the second thing is, I wouldn't need to cheat, Paul. I mean, why would I want to cheat? Bobby, and these are coaches back in those days, Bobby Knight, Gene Cady, Krzyzewski, Boeheim. I mean, all these guys. I said, I don't remember any of them ever playing pro basketball. And all these kids want to do is become pro basketball players. So that was before the money became absolutely super crazy. And so I said, I would have so many kids wanting to come down to an incredible place, just like me, get away from the cold weather in the winter and all these other places. And I would have a staff of Clifford Ray, my old teammate, who became one of the best big men's coaches in the history of the NBA. I had Norm Van Leer, who was interested in maybe doing some coaching. I would have had all former pro basketball players, and we would have played pro-style basketball. What kid wouldn't want to come and play under those circumstances?
Well, and you look at the college game now, and with the teams that excel are the ones that can play more of an up-tempo game. You go into this tournament every year. It's why we liked the Canes going into this tournament, because they've got good guards. They can score. They play more of a pro style than a lot of the college teams. Don't you think, Rick?
Absolutely. And Jim has done an unbelievably great job with that. Just incredible job. Here's the thing. To win, defense, everybody says defense wins championships. Well, no. Defense doesn't win championships, but you can't win without being a good defensive team. And I know in the NBA, I don't think any team's ever won an NBA championship that wasn't one of the top 10 defensive teams. And the same thing, Miami gets after it. But I was so proud of that team. They could have quit in the last game when they were down 13 in the second half, but they didn't. If anything, They had more resolve. They dug deep, and their defense got them back into the game. But their offense wanted for them. And it was a great performance, and it did my heart so good to see them make all those free throws down the stretch. Miller going 13 for 13. It was really a joy to watch that performance and that victory that they got in that basketball game. And then they push it. They get up the floor. They put, they move it. They pass it. They get to the basket. And here's the beauty of why this team is dangerous, because it's not just one guy. It's not been Wang, player of the year in the ACC. And no, in fact, I'm expecting him to have a big game because he hasn't had a really big game. And, who was the guy the game before? Pat came through big time, right? Knocking down all kinds of shots and doing great for him. And then who steps up? Miller steps up and gets the job done in the last game. This is what you need to win. You need other players willing to rise to the occasion, to meet the challenge. And they've shown that they have a bunch of guys that can do that. And Ted, and O'Meara, what he does with his size, God, it reminds me of the 1965 NCAA, or the championship team, might have been 65, when Fred Slaughter was the starting center on those great UCLA teams. He was like 6'6" or 6'7", and so it can be done. And that team reminds me, the way they put the pressure on, it reminds me a lot of that team. Put a lot of pressure on, play the good defense, small guys playing smart basketball. It's going to be fun to see what happens. Of course, they're going to be playing against the team everybody expects is going to wind up winning, UConn, but that doesn't mean anything. They already knocked off some of the higher seed teams, and so let's go ahead and do it again.
He's the great Rick Barry. You can follow him on Twitter, Rick24Barry, Barry. Rick, College Hall of Famer, Pro Hall of Famer, ABA champion, NBA champion, scoring champion, Finals MVP, multiple All-Star. Not much that he did not accomplish on the basketball floor. By the way, it's since you played in the ABA and the NBA, and when you were in the ABA, they had the three-point shot, right? The NBA obviously didn't have it in your career. How much different did you find the ABA game to the NBA game because of the three-point line?
It was more of a wide-open game. They didn't have the great centers. You didn't have Will Chamberlain and Bill Russell and Walt Bellamy and Nate Thurman and guys of that nature that protected the rim. The game has evolved to the point now where big men all want to be shooting three-point shots now. Even the Joker, who's an MVP and plays a great game. Love watching him play. Not the super athlete that Giannis is, and but he can do everything. But he still, shoots the three. It's really interesting how things have evolved. And many times you watch an NBA basketball game, and there really isn't a true center out there on the court, and they're playing a lot of small ball. The Warriors, my old team, do that a lot. Look what we did the last time they made their comeback and got back in the game and won a game by 27 points that they were down, and they came back one, and Draymond Green was playing center. So it can happen. I remember most coaches, even when we played, we would have the small guys against the big guys and play that kind of basketball, and it creates a problem for certain teams. And so it's interesting to see what's happened. Do they overuse it? Yes, I think at times they overuse it too much of the one-on-one stuff for my liking. But the three-point shot is an integral part of the game. And of course, back then, the three-point shot, in college. In fact, I remember when I went to visit my son, Scooter in Kansas, when he was on that 88 championship team. And I went out and started shooting around, and I said, what the heck? This is like a normal shot. They finally moved it back some because it was too easy. And it's quite a shot. Now it's a difficult shot. They're talking about moving it even further back. Well, what difference does it make? Guys are shooting 5, 6, 7 feet behind the line now anyway. It doesn't make any difference. But to me, if it's used judiciously, it's an incredible weapon. I think the most effective way when you're shooting the three is, if you penetrate, can't do it and kick it out. That's the one thing that everybody did. That's what the foreign teams used to do all the time, penetrate and kick, especially the Asian teams. Is that what you do is you come down. If it's 3-on-3 break, I would tell my players when I coached in the minor leagues, you mentioned Fort Myers where I coached, 3-on-3, I would tell them, if you don't have a pass for a dunk or an easy, uncontested layup, stop and shoot the three. And here's why. You have a better chance of getting an offensive rebound because the other guys are retreating backwards. Your men are running forward, and if you shoot the ball, you have a much better chance of perhaps getting an offensive rebound. That's a great way to use the three-point shot. But now, too much of it is three-point shooting.
I'm with you, because if it doesn't go, that's when the game can get ugly. If the three ball's not going in, the game can turn ugly. What is the part of the involvement of the game, though, that you like best, Rick?
Well, what's happened is that the sophistication of the training for all sports has become so amazing. When I played, even up went to the pros, we had nothing, absolutely zero. We didn't have a strength coach. We didn't have an agility coach. We didn't have a dietitian. We didn't have all of these things that you can do to maximize the God-given talent that you had to become the best player possible. People have said to me, Rick, you couldn't play today with these guys. I said, oh, are you crazy? I mean, you must be on drugs. I said, you know how much better I would be if I played today? I'd be faster, stronger, quicker, more endurance, jump higher. It'd be unbelievable how much better the players of my era would be today if we were playing because of the sophistication of the training.
And yet it's funny. You guys played every game, and now they take 20% of the season off for load management.
Don't get me started on that on load management stuff. Oh, my God. I understand why you got so much money invested, but they really need to do something. No player should ever be allowed to do load management on a road game, especially in interconference play when you only go to the other team one time. That's inexcusable. It's an insult to the fans who have supported the league, and there's no way that should be allowed to happen. No way whatsoever.
Rick, if you're not already in Houston, safe travels. Enjoy the weekend. Congratulations on all the attention that you're going to get as the greatest Miami basketball player ever, and your alma mater.
But I'm actually here in Florida. I'm in Fort Lauderdale getting ready to play in the pickleball tournament prior to the pickleball slam with McEnroe and Agassi and Roddick and Chang are going to be playing, and I'm big into pickleball. And so I'm doing that right now this week, and I'll be watching them obviously tomorrow night. There was no invitation to go there, so I'll just watch it on television and root for the teams.
Oh, wow. Well, who knows? Maybe they can get you there by Monday. Rick, thanks for making time for us. Have a great weekend. Thanks for your time. Once again, all the best.
Thank you. God bless you and your listeners. Bye.
Rick Barry. Follow him on Twitter, Rick24Barry, Barry. No invitation.
That's unbelievable. But he's playing
Wow.
in the pickleball slam pregame.
Wow.
He's big into pickleball. That's what we learned today on the show.
Rick Barry, pickleball guy.
Well, he's got the intensity for it. I've watched some pickleball. When my daughter practices soccer on Saturdays, it's near pickleball courts, and I watch the intensity of the pickleballers and giggle.
They played at Miami-Dade Community College. They played inside the Miami Beach Convention Center. They didn't have a home court. They didn't have a home training center either. He averaged 37 a game his senior year. First team All-American. Second overall pick in the draft.
Second overall pick in the draft coming from the U in basketball then. That's staggering. Port Charlotte, Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City. Enjoy the Final Four. We'll be back at it Monday morning. The bonus hour in the 239. That comes up next.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com. Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What if I take a bus to Houston? Maybe that'll be cheaper. I don't know.
I don't know if you can get there in time.
Yeah. Point.
God dang it. I hope Michael, I truly hope 6 people watch it on ESPN. I hope it gets the worst rating of any show that's ever been on ESPN. Pickleball. Good criminy.
A train? What train?
That would take longer. The only way to do it would be to drive.
I know. Just thinking of anything, honestly. I need to decide by the end of today's show.
Well, you need to be here Monday morning at 6 a.m.
I know.
Because you got to train me because you're taking a vacation next week.
Yes.
And you didn't get someone to fill in your role. And I've got to sit over there and don't even know how the hell we're supposed to do this show that way.
It's really easy.
No, I'm talking about this.
Oh.
I'm talking about Twitch. I'm talking about being able to do all the things we do because David's on this computer. I speak with him on this computer. I look at him through this computer. Can't do any of those things sitting over there. It's a colossal pain in the ass.
Is it too late for us to get somebody?
He can't. There's nobody to get.
I asked like 9 people.
Which is the thing you should do before you plan the vacation.
I mean, unless you want Chris Beasley.
I want someone running the goddamn board.
Yeah, then we can't send the show down the line to the affiliates, Adam.
And if you think you're going to get Chris to show up at 6 a.m. for 5 days, you're high. He'd rather light me on fire.
I'm not going to do it. It's too much. 10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour. It's a Friday. It's the last day of March. Women's Final Four tonight, men's Final Four tomorrow. 6 days away from the Masters. Less than 4 weeks away from the draft. Baseball season got underway yesterday and last night. It's a nice time to be a sports fan. When isn't a good time to be a sports fan, huh? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. How about Rick Barry not being invited to the Final Four by Miami?
Wow.
That's a
that one.
Yeah, that's a come on now. I mean, you don't have anybody else who's ever played for you who's like in his area code. He's far and away your best alum.
All right, really quick question. More energy. Rick Barry, Ken LaVicka.
LaVicka threw out Barry when we touched on a certain nerve.
If we'd have gotten to load management early, it might have been Barry without a doubt.
Yes.
He's 79, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Always been a talker. All right. Always been very confident on and off the court.
With good reason.
Yeah. Hey, voted one of the 50 best, by the way. All those lists, he's on it. All those lists, he's on it. Whole generation of fans had found out about him once this whole Warriors thing started. It's like, oh, they've never been any good. Well, actually, go back about 40 years. They had a run. This guy led it.
I mean, it is staggering. You listed, I think, most of them. NBA champion, ABA champion, 8-time NBA All-Star, All-Star Game MVP when that actually meant something. 5-time All-NBA first team. 4-time ABA All-First Team. Rookie of the Year. Scoring champ. Steals leader.
Well, also 8-time NBA All-Star. It's because he spent half his career in the ABA.
Right.
Otherwise, he would have been
he did all 4 years in the ABA All-Star game that he was there
right.
too.
Would have been 12, 13-time All-Star. His last 10 years in the league, his final season in the league, he played 72 games. The 9 years before that, he played between 79 and 82 games in all 9 years. I mean, his final 10 years in the league, he missed like 15 games. His final 10 years. Okay, literally. The guy who wins the MVP award this year in the NBA is going to miss more games this year than Rick Barry missed the final 10 years of his career. So you could see why he'd get a little fired up when he brought up the phrase load management.
And not for nothing, but he played in some of the best NBA jerseys of all time. Those Warriors jerseys with the city trolley on the back with the numbers. Oh, so clean.
Well, not only that, they played the finals in 75. They were playing against the Bullets. I mean, you could argue that was one of the most underrated jersey finals ever.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, nobody was watching the NBA, mind you, in 1975. That series was barely on national television, but it's true. You look up those jerseys. Okay, they worked.
All about the jersey. It is amazing when it's that side of the glass. No matter who it is, it's all about the jerseys. We've been through a million of them. It's all about the jersey.
I'm an aesthetics guy.
NBA MVP jerseys. That's what the younger generation is into hoops is all about. It is a part of the Miami story, and I wonder if it's too old news now if CBS will even take a moment to tell it. You know, we have hardly ever brought it up. Miami shut their program down for 15 years. mean, I don't know the exact reason why they brought it back. I'm guessing it's because the football team won the 83 national championship and the university kind of said, I guess we're going big time now. And their baseball program had been big. And it's like, maybe we should bring basketball back. Plus, if you look with the 79 final and through the 80s, college basketball was becoming big. But I mean, they were shut down from like 70 to 85?
I think those numbers are right. Think about that.
Yeah, right.
Division I program, we're just going to shutter basketball. And to bring it back, and now they're in the Final Four. Remarkable, to say the very least.
It really is. But both FAU and Miami underdogs, not big. FAU around 3, Miami 5.5. Doable. I mean, heck, wasn't Miami around that for the Texas game? Wasn't it even more? 7?
Thought it was 7.
Yeah, they were 7 for Texas. What were they for Houston? Wasn't it around 7?
Might have even been a touch higher for the Houston game.
I mean, I'm betting the Florida schools. I am. I'll even go out on a limb and say we'll get a Florida final.
Wow, look at you. I think we're going to get San Diego, Miami.
Ooh, you like the Canes.
I like the Canes.
It is a little scary for UConn that it's a foregone conclusion, right?
Yeah, that's what's first off, I mean, this is a little bit of, I think, the media bias here, because there were a lot of people that were on UConn before the tournament. They have delivered. So there's a reason to keep continuing to love what they're doing. Every team in the tournament typically has one game in which they don't perform their best. And can they win? Miami's already had that. UConn is yet to have a bad game in this tournament. They've played brilliant basketball, and they have been destroying teams. And they could still play good against Miami and lose. I am waiting for them to be in a close game. How are they going to react?
I do think Miami's big man has to stay on the floor. The foul trouble that he got against Texas, and they were able to survive that, keep the game between 10 and 13 until they put Norbert back on the floor down 10 with under 9 to go. Like, he's got to play big minutes against UConn. If he gets in the foul trouble that Timmy got in for Gonzaga, the same thing could happen. They could just destroy them inside. That's my biggest fear for Miami, the whistle. Every one of their inside fouls need to count, if you know what I mean. Can't have weak fouls.
And Omer tends to get a couple of weak fouls a game because he likes to reach, he likes to go for steals, things of that nature, and that's something that has to be avoided.
Coach Larinaga said it on the show this week. He said he's such an aggressive player. I'm always concerned about him getting it over the back.
Reach in, something like that.
So, but you and I are both thinking the same thing. Like, if Miami can hang around or keep it a close game. UConn was down, 4 at the half to Iona, came out, and they've literally won 7 consecutive halves.
And they've won them mostly by 10 points plus. I mean, they have just been beating teams down.
I mean, 4 wins by an average of 22. Here's the thing, though. Miami's beaten a 1, a 2, and a 4 to get here. I mean, you can't have a harder route, can you? In your last 3 games, when the brackets come out, I mean, you can't play a 1, 2, and a 3 as a 5 seed. I mean, it's not like the brackets opened up for Miami. I mean, they had to go through Indiana. They had to go through Houston. They had to go through Texas. I mean, and they've scored, by the way, 88, 89, 85 points in those 3 games.
The other side of this is UConn's gone 87, 70, 88, 82. I mean, this game should be, what's the over-under for this game?
I know it's 131 in the other one.
148.
Ooh.
148.
Leaning over?
I'm leaning over.
So 148 has it basically being around 77, 71 UConn. 5.5. So give or take a half a point. UConn 77, 71. Put it this way. If the game's in the 70s, who do you think it favors? Like, do you think it has to be in the 80s for Miami to win?
UConn has scored a ton, but they've done it with defense. And so I think the more scoring there is, the more it favors Miami.
I do as well.
The same thing in the first game for FAU. The more scoring in that game, it favors FAU.
Well, I definitely think 70 wins the first game. I don't know if either team gets to it either. I think the first game is FAU Tennessee in the Sweet 16 all over again. I think it's a rock fight. Only thing that concerns me for FAU, San Diego State's best player has had 3 bad games in a row. He has scored 18 total points in the last 3 games. He came into the tournament averaging around 13, 14 points a game. And he had 8 points for the weekend in their Sweet 16 and Elite 8 wins. 6-2. And yet they won both against Alabama and Creighton. Can he have 4 bad nights in a row offensively? Probably not. Fortunately, he's not a 25-point-a-game guy. He's like a 13, 14-point-a-game guy. But he's averaged 6 a game in his last 3 games. They won all 3. 8 extra points for San Diego State is pretty valuable.
You think?
Yeah. With that defense, taking you from 60 to 68 or 62 to 70. I mean, so that would concern me if I'm at Barrett, I think is his name for San Diego State. That would concern me. Odds are he's going to play well.
David has an all-Florida final. I have a Miami-San Diego final.
Man, how about that weather final? San Diego State-Miami final.
Pick the school. What beats do you want?
Just recruit off of that. I got your NIL right here.
I wonder how much they'll bring up NIL in the Miami broadcast if with Ruiz and what he's done. And
well, and also, how much will they say the Pac-12 for San Diego State? I mean, hasn't this just absolutely locked that in? I mean, come on, if you're the Pac-12, I mean, I'd want these guys in my conference before tip. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Unbelievable. Oh! Some idiot in the Dodgers game ran onto the crowd to propose to his wife
Did you
or
see
propose to his girlfriend. Did
Yeah.
he get drilled?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that yeah, I did, Logic Man. The spring game in Colorado is sold out.
It's also televised.
Previous record for a spring game was 17,800 in 2008. Last year, 1,950 were in attendance. They're going to have over 45,000.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. In a few years, they'll be in the Big 12. Back in the Big 12. Llama technically shot 92% from the free throw line in the NBA.
In fact, David, I'm going to go on a limb right here. San Diego will play for the men's basketball title on Monday, and they will play the Tampa Bay Rays for the World Series come October.
Wait.
A Padre Ray World Series. So San Diego State Miami championship in college hoops, and then we followed up with a Padres Rays World Series. Yeah, we brought that up earlier, Michael. Crazy, isn't it?
Much more expensive. What is the secondary market for South Carolina, Iowa tonight?
Let's take a look, David. Although, let me check StubHub, not YouTube.
In Dallas, also. Basketball capital of the world, Texas, this weekend. And, remember, it's, they're playing at American Airlines Arena, though, also, as opposed to a football stadium. They're playing in a 20,000 seat arena. So there's going to be more demand because there's less tickets available.
Ten seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 20 minutes away. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, along with some final thoughts. Listen, this would be last minute, a little gimmicky, that sort of deal. But, you know, we were just talking about the men's Final Four. We made our picks and also talking about how, you know, you're going to be able to walk in the football stadium for $20 or less. Meanwhile, 3-4 hours to the north, Dallas is playing host to the women's Final Four. And it ain't a football stadium. It's an American Airlines Arena, so capacity is only 20,000.
But even with that being said, to compare the cheapest ticket for tomorrow's game, $45 at the moment, to the cheapest ticket to the women's Final Four tonight, which is $252. I even tried to go apples and apples and move down a couple of rows, if you know what I mean. Move down from the nosebleed seats in Houston to the first row of the upper bowl, if you will. I can walk into section 324 for the men's Final Four for $136 in not nosebleed seats. Still in the upper deck, but not the sixth deck, if you will.
Now, you know, if you wanted to sit in the lower level, in the lower bowl, so to speak, would the price be about the same as the women's Final Four?
The price in the lower bowl for the men's, the cheapest ticket I'm seeing right now. Yeah, you can sit in the lower bowl behind the hoop. Section 116, row W, $225. I mean, those are not bad seats.
No, and by the way, Monday, when all the coaches are gone and 2 of the 4 fan bases are gone, you can cut that price in half, at least.
But to put it in perspective, a lower bowl end zone seat for tonight's women's Final Four, what I'm seeing, about $750.
Damn. Like on one of the baselines?
No, that's behind the hoop. You're talking $900 to get a baseline seat.
LSU Vatech is the first game, and that's got some star power. Kim Mulkey's the coach of LSU. She was the coach of Baylor with Brittany Griner and all that, and led them to 3 titles. She's pretty flamboyant. Vatech's first ever Final Four. That's the appetizer. But it's the nightcap. This is the show. Dawn Staley in South Carolina. They won it last year. They're trying to pull a Georgia football, go undefeated and win it again this year. And they are playing the Steph Curry of women's college basketball. No. That's a fair comparison. You look at what Steph Curry did for Davidson and what his numbers were, his size, his build, what he brought to the game. Caitlin Clark is the Steph Curry of women's college basketball.
I'm with you. It's box office. I can't wait.
This is where, by the way, you know how when we talk about the Miracle on Ice and how remarkable it was that the game was a 5:00 hockey game and not shown live, basically in the United States, and that the Russians prevented the game from being moved into prime time. ABC wanted to switch the semifinals. Can you just move that game to 8, move the other one up to 5? And the fact that at the time, okay, both teams had to agree, and the one team said no, so the game stayed at 5:00. In all honesty, if you had any influence, this will be about 9:30 on a Friday night on ESPN. Would you have tried to, if you could, begged Disney, okay, begged Disney 5 days ago and said, is there any way we can get this game on ABC? Any way at all? I mean, especially after the Iowa region final is the highest rated basketball game. Pro, college, male, female. The highest rated basketball game ESPN has shown this year was Caitlin Clark in the Elite Eight.
And it would be interesting as we're in an era where we're showing women's sports more than ever. Would ABC Disney have succumbed to a little pressure? I don't think so.
Probably not. But we'll say, and we brought this up earlier in the week, there is a big movement in women's sports to take the women's tournament and break it away from all the other championships. You know, the men's basketball did their own deal with Turner and CBS. All the other championships are under the ESPN umbrella. It's all one contract. ESPN pays like $110 million a year to carry all the other championships, including women's hoops. And women's hoops is like, yeah, I think we need to break away and do our own thing. You can put all the baseball and the softball and then what have you. You can put that under one umbrella. We kind of need to be our own thing. I mean, I'll say it again. Caitlin Clark in Iowa against, who was it, Louisville, in the region final on a Sunday night on ESPN has outrated every NBA game they've shown this year.
Well, I'm fascinated by what rating they get for this game tonight. It's a little later. It's a Friday night. It's ESPN. This is not ideal to get a big number. It's a bad television night. I think the game's a little late for a great television number.
I have no idea. I have no idea what's on ABC on a Friday night. I don't.
Don't they go dark on Fridays now?
I have no idea what ABC shows on a Friday night. But I'm being serious when I ask this question. If we were having the program meeting, whatever it is you're showing tonight, I would be willing to bet you'd get more eyeballs if you showed South Carolina, Iowa women's basketball tonight.
Tonight on ABC at 8 p.m. is Shark Tank.
Okay, and that's very well rated. That'll win the night.
Really?
Yeah. That and Blue Bloods at 10 o'clock are the two highest rated things on a Friday night on network television. Don't laugh. If I'm ABC,
I'm not laughing. This is an education for me. I'm now finding out what shows are on Friday night. I had no idea up until this moment.
I'm being very serious, Felipe. If I'm ABC, a 1 hour Shark Tank leading into South Carolina, Iowa.
Well, you got entertainment tonight at 7:30.
No. 8 to 11. Come on, Felipe. Get with the program. Tonight, prime time. Shark Tank at 8, and then whatever it is they're showing at 9 and 10. And Shark Tank would be a good lead-in. I think it's the highest rated show on a Friday night. I'm telling you, this could have been a bonanza for women's college basketball.
I still think it will be. But could you imagine if they were still doing Sunday, Tuesday, what this game would have done on a Sunday night?
I know.
And why they went Friday, Sunday is beyond me.
I think they wanted the championship game on Sunday as opposed to a Tuesday. So they made that trade-off.
And easier for people going to the game. They get there on Friday. They're out.
Yep.
I get it. I mean, I get it. But from a television standpoint, Sunday, Tuesday is a hell of a lot better.
And not to belabor the point, but, you know, they talk about that famous Houston-UCLA game, Elvin Hayes and Lou Alcindor, and they put it on prime time, and it was a great game. It changed college basketball. Millions of people watched college basketball. That never happened before. It turned out to be a great game. Houston upset UCLA by 2. Honestly, all right, if we get a good game tonight, South Carolina, Iowa, and if it had been on network television, it truly could have changed the sport.
Yeah, I was about to say it could have transcended women's basketball.
Yeah, could have taken it to a whole new level and led them to a TV deal, Mark, worth hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So the Iowa Louisville region final did 2.5 million on average, peaked at just under 3. Remember, that's more eyeballs than have watched any NBA game on ESPN this year. So if it did 2.5 on a Sunday night, tonight, South Carolina, Iowa, what do you would put the over?
How many more will it do tonight? It's Friday.
But I think ratings will go up.
Right.
Because, South Carolina now involved, and it's the Final Four and the whole deal. It over under 3 million.
Well, I think that's about right where it's going to be at.
I'll go over.
I'll go over.
How about 3.5?
No, under. Hey, really quickly, David, just to remind you, order your Phil Steele magazine today.
Mm-hmm.
I just did. I just literally bought it during that break. $52-1, huh? That's
52-1. What was 52-1?
my San Diego parlay. Aztecs and Padres to win it all.
Nice.
Wow.
Throw $20 on that, win 1,000.
It would be awesome if they played the women's national championship game on Sunday.
They do.
Or that's not what I meant to say. You said Tuesday, right?
Sunday,
used to.
They used to do.
Sunday, Tuesday, yeah.
That's what I was thinking, DC. I couldn't go that far, though, because I don't believe in them.
DC, I don't know what the highest rated number is. I'm guessing it's right around 2 million. By the way, that's ABC. This was ESPN, highest rated basketball game of the year on ESPN. But the average Saturday night primetime game, NBA game, does right around 2 million.
It's because they get the best matchups.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a big number.
Yeah.
Now, it'd be a big hockey number. Be a really big hockey number, but
I mean, obviously they wait till after football season to start doing them.
But I mean, just say it again.
2 million.
Iowa, Louisville, women's basketball outrated both Carolina Duke games. And outrated every ESPN NBA game so far this year.
I mean, I want to say I'm not surprised, but I mean, just from what I've seen on ESPN games, on like NBA ESPN games this year, there haven't been a lot of good ones. Ones where you stop and watch. Because most of those games are
because of load management.
Yep.
That too.
Well, that's for 2 years. I've been trying to watch NBA games, and when I watch them, the guys don't play.
Yeah.
So I give up until the playoffs.
Right.
Do you know KD and LeBron have not played against one another in 4 years?
Yeah. Since Christmas of 2018. It's the last time they played against each other. Crazy.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. The home stretch of Miller and Moulton on this Friday, final day of March. How many of you are going to keep, we just spent a lot of time talking hoops, men and women's Final Fours. Texas, the, home of college basketball this weekend. Men in Houston, women in Dallas. But how many of you are going to keep watching baseball after yesterday? I mean, 20 of the 30 teams, Mark, who played yesterday ain't playing today.
No, I know. I am all in on the Rays this year.
All right.
I'm all in on the Rays. I announced it to my family last night. My daughter even asked me, she says, "Ooh, Detroit's playing. Who are they playing?" Because she saw I said, "That's Tampa Bay." She goes, "Who are you rooting for?" I said, my heart goes with Detroit. I said, but the Rays are much, much better. She goes, "Well, I like Tampa Bay because they're in Florida and we're in Florida." I said, "You're darn right. And we're going to watch a lot of them this year."
Hey, and 2 hours and 14 minutes, you might actually get her to sit on the couch with you.
She was all in.
For what it's worth, and this is a very small sample, MLB Network Radio, I'm guessing 99% of you don't listen. Either you don't have Sirius or you don't listen.
For those of you that do, we apologize.
Right. So Tuesday was Fan Day on the network. They encouraged just a bunch of phone calls from fans. They wanted to hear from the fans. Now, first off, Miller and Moulton do a show in which we take very little to no calls. Now, that's not because we don't like the audience. It's actually more technology driven and what have you. But we're not crazy about shows that take 1,000 phone calls. That's not the show that we enjoy. And they devoted the channel to that on Tuesday. So I'm listening, Mark, yesterday. You and I driving back. I headed northeast to Jacksonville. You headed south to Estero. And I'm listening to MLB Network Radio. Come on, it's opening day. And they were talking about They had never had more young people and women call in on Fan Day as they had on Tuesday. And they just wondered, obviously small sample size, it wouldn't hold up statistically, but they just said, does that mean something? That between the World Baseball Classic and the rule changes, is the sport legitimately appealing to a group of people that this sport has not interested in a long time?
It's gotten, Felipe's a baseball fan or a Marlins fan. I don't know if you're a baseball fan.
No, I'm a baseball fan.
But you're a Marlins fan, baseball fan. My son's a Tigers fan and not a baseball fan. He's a college baseball fan, loves college baseball. Was interested in watching games. When we were talking, he's like, I'm going to start watching a little more baseball this year. I've got guys I like with a pitch clock. I'm interested. That's a good sign for baseball. He's 23.
Speaking of college baseball, if you're not doing anything this weekend, big weekend series, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at FGCU. Eagles and Jacksonville, two of the three best teams in the A-Sun. FGCU is ranked 16th in the country. Thank you very much. May want to check it out.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1889 we start. The Eiffel Tower officially opens in Paris. Would retain the record for the tallest man-made structure for 41 years at 300 meters. I know this is going to shock the both of you, but I was at the Eiffel Tower and decided not to go up.
Of course not.
1925, this is probably for me and 6 other people. The great WOWO in Fort Wayne, Indiana began transmissions. 50,000-watt AM flamethrower, David. 1931, Newt Rockney is killed with 7 others in a plane crash. 1967, Hendrix burns his guitar for the first time. The guitar at auction sold for nearly $500,000. The building that he played is currently a church. Today in 73, Bobby Orr scores his 3rd career hat trick and becomes the first player in NHL history to score 100 points for 4 straight seasons. He was a defenseman. That same day, Ali suffers a broken jaw early. What round was it against Norton?
Second round in a 12-round fight.
Goes the distance, and he loses in a split decision. He would win the rematch in another split decision.
Think about that, by the way. Another half hour in the ring with a guy who just broke your jaw. How tough are you?
'75, UCLA beats Kentucky, the 10th title for Wooden, who would retire after. In fact, he announced it 2 days earlier.
Yep.
The Canadians beat the Penguins to become just the 2nd team in NHL history to win 50 or more games for 4 straight years, today in 1979. Today in 1980, could you imagine this? 2 separate heavyweight title fights in separate cities on the same night. Holmes would win in the WBC title as Mike Weaver, would KO John Tate for the WBA belt.
Did Holmes beat Norton?
Leroy Jones.
Okay. Holmes beat Norton to become champion. The Weaver fight, Tate wins the first 14 rounds in Knoxville, John Tate's hometown. They're having the fight in his hometown. He's pitching a shutout. Weaver knocks him out in the 15th.
Today in 82, the NBA and their Players Association read a 4-year deal that includes a 53% revenue sharing plan in return for minimum and maximum payrolls. It's the first of its kind in team sports. Louisville beats Duke for the 86 title today, the first one with a shot clock. In 87, Keith Smart, game winner. Indiana 74, Syracuse 73.
Indiana's last title.
1990, Joe Sakic, at 20 years old, becomes the youngest player in the NHL to score 100 points in a season, doing so for the Quebec Nordiques.
Nordiques, yes.
Today in 91, Brett Hull scores his 86th goal of the season, the third best total in NHL history, and Tennessee beats Virginia for the women's title, first overtime game in the 10-year history of the NCAA women's tournament. Today in 94, the White Sox assign Michael Jordan to the Birmingham Barons of the AA Southern League.
Terry Francona, his manager, and he buys the team a bus.
Today in 96, Major League Baseball opened its season in March for the very first time, with the Mariners beating the White Sox in 12 at the Kingdome. 97 final, Arizona beats Kentucky in OT for their first title.
Rick Pitino's last game at Kentucky.
02, Connecticut beats Oklahoma to conclude the women's basketball championship perfect season, 39-0 for UConn. And it was in 2019 that Nipsey Hussle was shot and killed in Los Angeles. Boxer Jack Johnson, Cesar Chavez, Gordie Howe, Liz Claiborne, all born today. Those alive still celebrating birthdays: Angus Young, John Taylor, Tom Barrasso, and Pavel Bure.
Interesting mix there.
Anything I missed, David?
Not really, no. Nothing worth mentioning, to be honest.
Yeah, I did a little editing. It was running long.
2018, remember Enrique Ngumbawale from Notre Dame hitting a game winner in the Final Four and then a game winner in the national championship? Yeah, that was 4 years ago.
Which one?
Well, the semifinal was 4 years ago, but then, they're 2 days apart and, the weekend is coming. So that was an amazing moment.
It was. It was. By the way, it really made Adam Amin's career. He was doing the women's Final Four for ESPN.
And killed it.
And killed it, both calls, and, became a hot commodity.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Captiva for the good. Where 50 years after it was stolen, one of the Mucky Ducks signature signs found its way back home. On Wednesday, one of the Mucky Ducks faithful went to the Captiva post office and was greeted with a big package. The sign inside the package from someone named Amends Maker, detailing the long 5 decades that it spent away from the restaurant. It said it turned out that a not-so-sober restaurant colleague of a sibling wanted to take the sign as a memento of a memorable night on the island. Really, a not-so-sober person stole the sign. 50 years later, they give it back. Pretty cool. For the bad, we go to the gritty streets of Collier County, where Jacqueline Hugh ran a stop sign and then put police on a chase where she's decided to travel over 100 miles an hour in her car while she had kids with her. Smart move. So not only did she get fleeing police, child neglect, but resisting arrest as she piled onto the charges. She had a number of priors, so it's not her first time visiting the Collier County Pokey. For the ugly, we go to Lehigh Acres, and probably I shouldn't even do this because this is an awful story. I try to make these a little bit more fun. But I couldn't find anything that was more fun than... So we had to go to the real ugly, where Adrienne Johnson was a teacher in Lehigh Acres. She's been arrested for slapping and then hitting a student with a ruler. Nice move, lady. Glad you were teaching in our schools and glad you're gone now. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on the final day in March 2023.
Women's Final Four tonight. LSU Vatex, the early game, around 9:30. They're going to end up tipping. You're going to hear 9 o'clock. That's when the first game is going to end. Got a half-hour wait in between games. Around 9:30 tonight, ESPN. Undefeated South Carolina against Caitlin Clark in Iowa. South Carolina, an 11.5-point favorite. Trying to repeat as national champs and trying to do it undefeated. NBA, 13 games tonight. There's only 4 teams who have the night off, and one of them's the Heat. So they're rooting against the Nets, who are hosting Atlanta, and they're rooting against the Knicks, who are going to be without Julius Randle for the rest of the regular season, and they're in Cleveland. By the way, Lakers and Minnesota, 2 teams tied in the loss column, both in the play-in right now. And we'll see if Jokic plays tonight in Phoenix against the Suns, because he didn't play last night. And it's a bad night in hockey. 4 games. I mean, unless you're really all in on who's going to be the second wild card team out west, Winnipeg's hosting Detroit. They have a 2-point lead over Calgary, who's in Vancouver. And otherwise, the league has no meaning tonight. Zip, zilch,
None.
Nada.
Panthers continue their road trip tomorrow. They're in Columbus. They got to win. It's a bad team, and they've got to beat them. That's all there is to it.
They're a point behind the Penguins for the final playoff spot. Pittsburgh has a game in hand.
But they both play on Saturday. The Penguins play the Bruins.
Right.
I mean, you're
Sure.
playing Columbus. They're playing the Bruins.
You got to win the day.
You've got to win the day.
5 baseball games tonight, all of them tonight. The early one is the Marlins hosting the Mets, 6:40 first pitch. Ooh, could a game be over? Think about this. You can watch the Mets and the Marlins, and it'll be over before South Carolina, Iowa. The game could go 250 and be over. How about that? I see I was talking a little baseball.
No, it's fine.
Get away with it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs, Braves, I mean, very popular teams not playing tonight. They did this by design, by the way. I mean, why? Why? WBC, leading into opening day, everybody's playing, you dominated the sports world. And then 2/3 of your league, you're like, nah, we'll take tomorrow off. We're good.
Because that's what baseball always needs, is a pause right after they start their season.
Right.
It makes so much sense.
Don't get it.
You taking Iowa straight up tonight, or are you taking the points?
No. I'm taking the points. No, South Carolina's going to win.
I'll lay the 11 in that bet. I've got San Diego State. David's got FAU. We've both got the Canes going to the final. We'll find out on Monday morning if we were right. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great weekend. And thanks for listening to the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah,